Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational number 2. And our final series for the day will be a best of 7 between Bjorn and TY.
Hype, hype, hype.
I love me some TVT. I know Rotterdam's favorite matchup is, of course, TVT, so it's going to have a lot of fun here.
Yeah, that's why I suddenly felt something in my body, right? I was like, I knew there was a TVT being played somewhere in the world, so I just had the urge to wake up. Actually, like, I'm super curious about this one because I see a lot of the European Terrans, complain about TVT being a little bit and the flying siege tanks or, Liberators is making it so hard and making it still and stuff. So I would love to see what happens when, TY goes up against Beyond and how the games look then, because both of these guys yesterday, they looked really good. Like, they played awesome in their quarterfinals. So I think it's actually going to be pretty awesome.
Yep, TY putting on a clinic versus Rogue, and Bjorn putting on the most competitive series against Parting, who, of course, was dominant in Legacy of the Void ladder, and so very, very close. So very close between them. I mean, it could have very easily been Parting through today.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice to have Monchronos in the semis, but it was just a great series, and he really impressed us in more than just one way. You can win a series against Parting, and that's impressive on its own, but he showed us some really cool stuff. He showed us awesome use of the Liberators that are also very strong in this matchup, if I have to believe my fellow Terran friends, and he showed us some phenomenal macro too.
Yeah, I'd imagine they would be pretty good. The question is as to how good. I mean, I have not seen a great deal of TVT in Legacy of the Void, I will confess. So I am quite curious. I mean, it is a matchup that I love watching and hate playing. I hope that Legacy of the Void hasn't ruined it. I mean, I do recall Heart of the Swarm TVT getting really awful for a while.
I mean, Nate is the resident Terran expert over here, so I feel that Nate should shine some more light on this series than I do.
Ah, man, I'm so bad at TVT and Legacy of the Void. Like, this matchup is just insane. Like, you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, normally you just play Marine Tank, right? And Heart of the Swarm, or Wings of Liberty. Sometimes a little mech, here and there, you mix it up, shake it around a little bit. But in this new world that we're in Legacy of the Void, the tank drops make abusing bio so easy. Like, it's all about the air control, in my opinion, and I'm hoping to see my beliefs about this matchup like vindicated here in like Beyond winning with like some sick Viking opening that shuts down any harass TY goes for, or maybe TY does it against Beyond. And really, once you get that air control, you shut down the drop play, so you have to take straight up fights, but it also allows you to use Liberators, which I find to be so powerful in Terran vs. Terran, because it's one of the only ways, because you never had this before in TVT, it was a way to really punish a Terran who was in a siege line that had less stuff than you. Because in Heart of the Storm or Wings, your only choice was a nuke, but those are actually pretty easy to dodge, right? But now if 2 or 3 Liberators show up and plant themselves over your tank line and you don't have air control, you have to back off. It's no longer a case of, oh, I can draw at a stalemate or bring a game back slowly with like a siege tank versus siege tank line. It's like, no, if you have less, like the other player can really push you hard. And that's one of my favorite things is TVT. Like, these games can resolve themselves pretty quickly once one player gets a big lead rather than being dragged out, simply because you have better tools to end the game with.
Do you think there's any relevance to the Cyclone in this matchup at the moment?
I think if you're playing mech, they're a reasonable solution against Liberators if you're being camped and you don't have air control. Like, that's like the one, because it kind of goes in a circle. And we actually saw this in the Rebel Battlegrounds Archon tournament where players would get the Liberators, use them over tank lines, but the Cyclones had the mobility to stay out of the liberation zones. And in my opinion, if you don't have air control, obviously Vikings and Liberators won't do it for you. So you need something on the ground. And the Cyclones are a bit more effective than the Thors, because honestly, Thors are just really slow.
That is very, very true. All right, folks, here we go. The first match in our best of 7 series here between 2 top Terran. Let's see who can come out on top to face Solo in the grand final and who will fall to face Bomber tomorrow in the bronze match. To the northwest position, ladies and gentlemen. Coming, I wouldn't even say out of retirement, coming out of hiding, coming out of Kesper jail, and now on X team in the red trunks playing Terran, it is Bjorn, who is going gas first. Fancy, fancy. To the southeast position in the blue trunks, Playing Terran, Katie Rolster, TY.
And it's cross spawns, so the distance is going to be a nice factor for holding off against any early aggressive strategies. Very quick 2 gas for Bjorn, though. Already telling me that he wants to open up with probably some really fast, maybe tank Liberator play or tank Banshee. I don't know what else he would use this much gas in the early game for. But TY playing very greedy with a gasless expand.
Interesting. That's a very big clash of styles here. I mean, potentially that gasless expand seems extremely vulnerable to whatever it is Bjorn's going to throw out. The question is, what is it going to be? I mean, with that much gas, you'd say in Heart of the Swarm, okay, this is Cloak Banshee, but we just don't know.
So he opens up with the Reaper, and this, by going for the second gas so quickly, he can actually jump straight away to the factory. So I actually do like this. It could still be like a very tank Banshee type play. I was wondering, because I was like, this is actually too much gas for a Banshee rush, but yeah, the Reaper kind of makes sense now, since it really shows where that little bit of extra gas goes to, because it also gets him that scouting information that he will need to, well, obviously attack his opponent later on.
Since this is one of the more open maps, Nate, do you think that like Liberators, obviously they're still good, but is it maybe a little less good than on a map like Dust Towers, for instance?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, the thing is, you're going to be able to get out on the map and be a little bit more aggressive, because, like, in my opinion, Bio is definitely stronger in Legacy of the Void, just because you have to take so many bases in TVT, and Liberators and whatnot are just so much better at abusing tanks. Like, if you have a couple medevacs and you're playing Bio, those couple medevacs can move around the few tanks you're going to have. But if you're playing mech, you'll never have enough medevacs to move your tanks around, because as soon as you build 5 to 6 medevacs, your opponent just has a bunch of Liberators and Vikings that can shoot them down. So, like, I really like Bio in this matchup for that reason, and because of that, the open space that you mentioned is just so good, because you can spread out your Marines really well and just take big engagements.
Alright, Reaper has scouted the orbital command, and there is another Reaper and a Hellion coming to back this up. There's not actually that much on the ground here for TY, so there is absolutely an opportunity to do some damage, especially since he's now building a reactor and not more Marines. Well, this would appear to be great bait, mate, because Bjorn is trying to tempt those Marines down the ramp so he can jump on them with the Hellion and the other. Oh, and that's a great grenade, too. Lovely grenade.
Yeah, this is a pretty scary push, actually. You know, I've actually run into this sort of play a few times on the ladder, and like that Reaper Hellion is so dangerous because it's just the grenades really mess you up, since your Marines can't attack while they're up in the air like that. So you basically get an extra free volley or two off on your opponent's units with them.
Do not underestimate the grenade.
There is a Cyclone on the way, by the way, for TY.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision right here. Now Bjorn's decided to fight, and so far, so fantastic. He does lose a Hellion, but he's able to clean out these forces at the bottom. And time to wall off TY. There we go.
I actually do really like the Cyclone as a greedy defensive play, because with the way that he set himself up, like the Cyclone can deal with a Banshee as long as you have the turret for vision or for detection. And the Cyclone is a great answer to those, but it's still going to be a problem. Like if he dives on the Cyclone, since the HP got nerfed in Legacy of the Void Beta, like he could actually just kill it and possibly take the game soon.
Oh, he's going through. Yeah, the Reapers are doing a decent amount of damage. Here comes the Cloaked Banshee, but there's a lot of repair going on that Cyclone here. The Raven is not up yet, so he would have to use a scan, and he doesn't actually have the energy to do that, so there's going to be losses here.
And that lock-on does not work once he goes cloaked, so this is a really great way for Bjorn to just bully him. And Bjorn, I really like the thought process that's gone into this this style.
Yep, seems to be working pretty well. The Raven is about to be out. Don't lose the Cyclone! He loses the Cyclone, but he does kill the Banshee in the process.
Cyclone's more expensive than a Banshee, man. Take that trade any day.
Absolutely.
There's another Banshee as well. More Hellions across the map. This actually is starting to look really bad for TY.
Those auto turrets also only last 10 seconds, so running away from that is pretty easy, too.
Yeah, that's not good at all. TY is under a lot of pressure right now. I mean, he may have to think about lifting up and actually going back to his base here, rather than trying to hold this expansion the way that it is. But Bjorn's control here is looking fantastic, and TY is getting sliced to pieces.
Yeah, Bjorn is just, he's manhandling him right now. This is almost disgusting. Like, he is really just giving it to him. He's taking his third base as well. I don't know what to say about this.
We have a mighty landed Viking. Can it
He's
hold?
killed like 30 units already. That's so sick. It's such a short game. It's action-packed. It's cross-map Larry-like, and he already killed 30 units. He's been super effective with every single unit he had so far.
Yeah, it's been really, really good aggression here from Beyond so far, demonstrating exactly why he is so strong. Oh no.
This is actually just, I mean, it's non-stop action, you know, the supply and everything is still close, but Beyond is really taking it to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, don't lose the Raven. TY! Oh, he gets out of there with it. I mean, so far, TY, he is holding it back, but we have to, I suppose, look at what's happening behind it. There's now a tank coming in for Beyond, just to make matters even worse for TY here.
Goodness.
On a certain point, this started to look really bad after he lost the Cyclone as well, and that Banshee got microed in the natural.
Yeah.
I still think it's obviously pretty bad because it's 25 army supply against 14, and
Yeah.
the army supply of TY is in landed Vikings. But he did do a really good job in still spending his money trying to build SCVs. He has a turret CC, so if he can buy a little bit of time, this game is not over yet. But these tanks do create a real problem right now.
It really does. Here comes a Banshee, but TY does not have Cloak, of course, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful with that, trying to micro and repair it. The Raven is here to make sure that Beyond can't Cloak, but the Raven is about to go down. TY is desperately trying to hold on here, but I'm not 100% sure that he can. At least he kills the Banshee, but those two tanks are still reigning strong.
Yeah, killing the Banshee for Beyond was cash money because TY's Cloak is about to finish, but he doesn't have anything to cloak.
No, he does not. And Beyond behind this is on 3 bases, because of course he is. And he's been macroing incredibly well behind this. Even though TY got a much later expand, he took the 3rd, uncontested. Now TY is just, he's being battered and bruised in the corner, and he's trying his best to hold on, but...
He's got this Raven now, too.
Oh, no.
So he can see the Cloak Banshee. He could use the auto turret to try to help snipe it. Those auto turrets actually just do so much damage in Legacy of the Void. You know, that's the trade-off of them lasting so short.
Yeah, just a more effectual ability.
It really seemed like almost flawless micro so far by Beyond in this game, and the most impressive thing is that he's still so smooth at home, like you mentioned it.
Did Beyond have a secret copy of Legacy of the Void beta he's just been playing for the last... Maybe he wasn't in Kespa jail, guys. Maybe he was just at his house just playing Legacy of the Void.
He's an alpha tester, man.
He's like, leave me alone, guys. I actually was at Blizzard Korea literally playing this game for the last 3 years before we even knew the Cyclone was going to be put in the game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for all the jokes we kind of make about Beyond, we of course now kind of know what happened based on a lot of the quotes that came out of Korea, and that's that Beyond basically was betrayed by Coach Gerard, who is an alleged match fixer, and I mean, it came down to Beyond's personal computer getting sold, for God's sake. I mean, it was some really crazy stuff going on, so you can hardly blame Beyond for not wanting to be on a team or compete in major tournaments when that kind of thing was going on.
Yeah, he looks so good this game.
He really does.
It's just been so nice because he's maintaining this dominance. He's had a solution every step of the way to keep the pressure up, and honestly, I'm just super impressed by everything that I'm seeing out of this guy so far. His build's super sharp. Like, everything here is just so clean and so fresh, so nice.
Yeah, Beyond
is gonna try to do something though with 2 Banshees on the south side, and he's sending out the 2 tanks on the north. Like, it's a little bit risky because if Beyond picks up on this, if you look at what TI left behind, it's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So most likely Beyond will just attack him, but maybe TY can do something special over here.
Yeah, I think TY is going to lose this 3rd, or at least he's going to have to evacuate it. But here come the Banshees, which are unfortunately now focusing down the refinery. Need to do a little bit more damage there. One Banshee is backing off again. Where are those tanks? Okay, the tanks are being flown directly over a missile turret. No, TY! That is maybe not ideal.
What?
No,
Oh my god.
I mean, no.
Guys, he literally flew a medevac with a tank in it literally directly over a missile turret.
Literally
Flew right into a missile turret.
Oh, he did. And there's the GG.
Wow. Beyond just, like, I don't know of any way to say it other than, like, you put the 2 guys in the ring, and then Beyond just gave him like the sickest punch straight to the face, and his TY just buckled over immediately onto the floor.
You know what? I'm really surprised by that game. Yeah, it was an awesome game. Like, Beyond played really good, but early game, like, obviously TY went for the more macro-oriented opening, so he had a few less units. He scouted with his 2nd SCV as well after losing his 1st SCV, and he saw that there was no natural yet. He saw that there were Hellions still cruising across the map, And then like right before he had any extra units, he walked down his own ramp with the 4 Marines. And obviously those Marines, they got absolutely murdered because they already took 1 grenade hit before that. And it was like 2 Reapers and 2 Hellions, so 4 or 5 Marines, you know, they won't stand a chance. Why would you go down the ramp on that moment, Nate? Do you know?
Because he didn't think Bjorn was gonna micro him so hard that he'd just wreck his face. I don't know why. Like it seemed like he knew that he needed to take his natural, but not waiting for the Cyclone was a pretty big mistake in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so tough. Like I don't know, his control of those Reapers and Hellions are really good. Like against a normal player, like you should be able to get some work done, maybe pick one of them off. But it seems that he possibly, like us, may have underestimated Bjorn a little bit coming into this.
How good is Beyond, man? We not only did we see incredible matches against Parting, who is certainly considered one of, if not the strongest Protoss in Legacy of the Void Beta, but now we're seeing him go up against a Pro League monster in the form of TY, and as you said, manhandle him when it came to the micro.
It's pretty intimidating so far. It's pretty scary, but best of 7s are long, so
Yep, they are.
Let's not make the same old mistake of hyping one guy into oblivion and then like.
No, we're gonna hype him. We're gonna hype him so much that none of us will ever be able to cast this game again. If
I'm on the train, man. Choo choo. I got my first class ticket to Beyond Hypeville.
Alright, well, it's hard not to be a believer by now because he's definitely been the most entertaining player to watch in this tournament.
Yep.
But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe things will go a little better. Second map is going to be another very large map though, so if I'm Bjorn, I would probably stick to, you know, what I just did in the previous game, just be hyper aggressive and take it from there, because if you can combine hyper aggression with awesome macro at home, well, you're gonna win a lot of your games.
I'll tell you this, man. If TVT looks like this in Legacy of the Void, I'm on board. That was a really, really cool... I mean, that was a fight from 2 minutes in, and it just kept going. It was awesome.
Non-stop, baby, non-stop.
All right, here we go, folks. The Ruins of Seras will be second map in this best of 7 series between X Team's Bjorn, who is currently up 1 game in the best of 7. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Terran to the east versus his opponent to the west position. From KT Rolster in the blue trunks, also playing Terran, TY.
And once again, it's going to be gas first for Bjorn, so, you know, don't fix it unless it's broken. Don't switch a winning team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like in Legacy of the Void especially, just because, you know, even at the pro level, maybe it'll round out to something else, but on ladder, you're going to run into a lot of people that want to do weird stuff, like the fast tank drop rush. Because if you open with something like, you know, just throwing it out there, if you go Barracks Expand or Command Center first into 3 racks, like you would have maybe done in Heart of the Swarm or Wings of Liberty, you put yourself at a huge risk because a tank drop, like you could just kite your Marines, right? Because they won't have stand, they won't have combat shields, and then if they push you with a Banshee at the same time, like, following up against that is so hard. Like, I like the factory openings in TVT for this reason alone, because it just gives you the flexibility to deal with all that madness. And at the same time, the super fast cheeses that came in Heart of the Swarm, you know, during 2014, the year of 1-base pushes, like, naturally you just start with so much economy in Legacy of the Void. It's actually a lot easier to handle those. And Beyond is going for the same build, that Fast Reaper into the factory, and TY... he went Barracks Command Center again. Will his tech be too late this time?
Well, this time his Command Center is on the high ground though, so he's definitely respecting the potential aggression from Bjorn. And let's not forget that Ruins of Seras is also a ridiculously large map, but there's a lot of surface area in the natural. You can't really just stand on top of a little ramp and get a couple of free shots off, because if your opponent actually has more, that means that you can't run back to your own base anymore, and you end up losing everything. So I do like this from TY. I think there's nothing wrong with this opening, but just playing it a little bit more safe, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see where he goes with this, if it'll be the same exact type setup. I mean, the Hellion Reaper is strong. Honestly, right now I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm going to just drool over this replay after this, after we're done casting today. This is going to be my go-to TVT. This seems super sharp, super strong, and honestly, Beyond... I probably won't be able to recreate the control, but you know, I guess that's the dream, right? Is to try, because he's really made this look so good.
I mean, you just turn down the game speed, you'll be fine.
Yeah, great point. Thanks, John.
I'm still drooling over Zest's replays, but not for the actual gameplay, just because it's Zest, you know.
As you wish. I was going to say, are you drilling over Zest's replays to find out what not to do as Protoss in Legacy of the Void? Because you did that well yesterday.
I know, I was just kidding. It doesn't matter what Zest does though, he's still Zest.
That is true, and I'm sure Zest will become great once again, and just, unfortunately, he didn't bring it yesterday. Alright, Cloak Banshee coming in from beyond here, and a Widow Mine this time around.
Different aggression, but Cloak is still going to be very early. But I think if you're TY right now and like he's playing a lot more safe, he has the bunker already, the Cyclone is in production. This is just a much better setup for him.
Yeah.
Just having that bunker there alone already changes everything. Makes him not having to worry about Hellions just cruising around and getting one volley off, or Reaper throwing grenades over and over again. So there's still a lot of surface area, so SCVs could still potentially be exposed, but it's very nice for Marines that they do have that safety ground and they can just hop in that bunker over and over again.
I'm a bit concerned for Beyond here because he's so far behind in terms of his CC and he didn't do the crazy damage that he managed to do last game, and with that bunker on the ground there plus a Cyclone already available, I have to wonder if Beyond can really get anything done.
I mean, it's still important to consider that he has forced out at least somewhat of a response in terms of, yeah, he had the faster economy, but he's definitely invested a lot of that early money into defenses, right? Because he had to build the bunker, he had to get the engineering bay, 1-2 missile turrets, possibly a third one at some point, and opening up straight away with this Raven. He's not able to really turn this into too much of an aggressive start, but defensively speaking, he is pretty set up, and actually getting this Banshee, this would be pretty nice.
Oh, nicely done, and as you can see, the Cyclone does just beat it. And the scan was able to make that happen, and Beyond...
Now I like it a lot for TY.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think Beyond has been shut down pretty effectively here. He's got to repair up that Cyclone, and I think he's in a great spot going forward. Beyond can't really get much done with this. This is already looking to be a good competitive series. These guys are very evenly matched.
Yeah, and it's going to be very tricky, I think, right now for Beyond to somehow find an opening. He gets a couple of shots off, he will be able to get a few Marines. But you know what's also worth mentioning is that he built his own CC also on the high ground, because he didn't actually see, I think, what was going on in the main base of TY, so he was still a tiny bit worried about potential aggression as well, while that wasn't the case at all, so I really think that TY just got the better hand of the mind games.
Both of these guys going in the third command centers too, also important to note. And yeah, he's going to use that Raven to help pick off the Banshee. Not bad, actually. Really great Banshee defense here from TY. And this is one of the things I actually really like, because I think about the Cyclone, when they first announced it for Legacy of the Void, my initial thought was, I'm like, okay, this kind of looks like if you just open up with one of them, and I like to do this against Protoss sometimes if I think the guy's a bit cheesy, because it's kind of like having that really early like Mothership Core Queen, right? We have a unit that can kind of like grab whatever gets in range, and it's just a good stay away from me unit, even if the Cyclone's not crazy fast. Like, you don't want to try to kite around it, because, you know, unlike a Viking, it's going to kill you really quickly if you let it lock onto you.
Yeah, I'm just glad we eventually got our Warhound in some form or another. I was doing so well in HOTS beta when the Warhounds were there. Like, 2 base, like 2 factory, Warhound, Hellbat all in. It was amazing. It was working every time against Protoss. I was so disappointed.
You're the reason why we lost it. You should have saved
sorry.
your cheese for release.
Oh god, partially responsible for Secret Paladin, now this. I'm ruining video games.
Nate was also very happy with the Cyclone at first when it had 180 HP. He was doing very well on the level.
I imagine
it was 200. It was 200.
That's
on
ridiculous.
Release.
That is ridiculous.
It's like 120 right now, man.
It's like, why would a Cyclone have more HP than a tank? I mean, really.
Yeah, honestly, I would have preferred they just buff tanks to 250, but that's just me.
Sick.
Alright, well, supply-wise, this game is actually still relatively close.
Uh-oh.
The Widowmine! Oh,
lovely. Beyond with the placement there.
See, that wouldn't have happened.
No, exactly.
200 health, the Kappa.
Oh, those bargain basement Cyclones built by the lowest bidder. That's why, man.
Yeah, man.
It's terrible.
They downgraded what version of the Roomba the Cyclone was based off of.
Next version's just going to be like a knife duct taped to a rumba that just spins around and murders Zerglings. It'll be great.
That would be pretty cool, man. That's like the Zealots with the Whirlwind ability.
They are
look
so
at the
good.
upgrades at the bottom of the screen. They're pretty damn even, you know. Despite the fact that the openings were so different, and we had a couple skirmishes here and there, and you know, we had one play being aggressive and one defensive. It's almost still a mirror image. Of course, there is this minor advantage for TY. And that's mostly actually in the Marine production and then anything else.
Yeah, he does have an 8 Marine lead at the moment, which is going to help him a lot. He just has more barracks, simple as that. Armory's coming up about on time to go right into 2-2.
Yeah,
Like he has an advantage.
Setups.
He has an advantage, but if he ends up losing, you know, a medevac full of Marines one time, like right now, actually, I don't know.
Oh,
how
God!
John suddenly knows this, but it's,
No!
it's so sick. This is the first time he does that.
TY. No. Get the hell out of there. Oh, that
wrecked.
sucks.
Unbelievable.
Beyond on
That's
patrol, catches one off guard.
He just sent them there. The moment the medevacs were sent to the top side of the map, that's when those Vikings and the Raven went to the top side of the map as well. Really sick spider sense.
Yeah, I think in TVT, I think it's it also comes down to Bjorn realizing that since his stim was done, his opponent would definitely be close to or already have stim. So
yeah,
that's when you're really worried about those drops. Because without stim, those drops aren't so scary. But once you have it, that's when you start worrying about the big drops. And it makes sense that he would move his army to watch for drops where his main army wasn't.
Yes.
With those Vikings and Ravens.
Yeah, it was just a really smart strategic play that just works really well in TVT. And let's see what else works well in TVT. Lots of Marines attacking usually works pretty well in TVT, especially if you're backed up by medevacs and tanks. So let's see if TY can get a position here.
That was really cute by TY actually, because he still had those 3 Marines he dropped before, and he used those 3 Marines to pull the army from beyond out of position a little bit. So
it's important to note that the extra delay added to siege tanks being able to fire when they're dropped is a really big deal. Like whoever drops their tanks first has a huge advantage. It is like 2 seconds.
That Widow Mine has been just clutch for Beyond here. It's done a lot of damage, and Beyond with the slight tank advantage, I think is going to be able to shove this back. In the meantime, though, we have auto turret harass. Quite a lot of it, actually, dropping in the base, and a landed Viking. It's killed 6 workers up to this point.
The landed Viking really does it for me. Like the auto turret harass, that's not that crazy, but the landed Viking, just randomly.
I'm not convinced by auto turret harass now. I mean, when the auto turrets used to last for about 5 years, then that was fine, but now maybe not so much.
I mean, they do a lot more damage than they used to
true.
as well, which is worth noting. But they definitely did a lot more when they lasted for 3 years. I agree.
TY now looking for those units, and he is able to find the Vikings, but he is slightly out of range. There's a whole pickup from Beyond with a huge amount of tanks airborne at the moment.
I think he's just going to go for it.
Yeah, and I think that might not be a bad idea. He got the better end of that.
Yeah, Bjorn being decisive in this game, pretty good. But there's 2 medevacs making their way over to the natural.
That's a pretty big drop, and it should have some potential, but there are quite a few Marines left behind, actually, so I think that Bjorn is capable of dealing with this. It's just important that he doesn't lose too much.
Yeah, he's lost quite a lot of units already.
He saved some of the Marines so he could drop them into the main base after this. He actually could drop right in those E-bays, but Bjorn's going to try to make the big push.
All right, here it goes. The question is, can TY hold on here? Because if he can, he'll have the economic advantage, but that was a terrible fight for TY to start with. Bjorn got some amazing tank shots off.
Yeah, Bjorn needs to get rid of these units in his base, but get those siege tanks south of the 3rd base, because that is the one place where TY is not safe by his 3rd.
That is very true, but Bjorn is going right into the mouth of the beast at the moment. And oh, huge pickoff! TY not only gets the armory, but also knocks down the 2nd eBay.
Wow, that's terrible, especially because TY already has.
That's a game-winning move right there.
Yeah,
I
could be.
I think TY's got this.
+2/+2 yet, so
that's a super huge
massive
pickoff.
snipe.
Yeah, I mean, not only the economic damage that TY has done, but now stifling the upgrade lead in a mirror match, that is absolutely massive. And Bjorn, I don't know what Bjorn does from here other than try to get a super decisive engagement, like maybe try and kill the 3rd, but TY has been on point with his defense so far.
He still has that one Widow Mine though. It's just a matter of time, boys.
It's been doing well. Is he going to get another hit? Oh, the scan goes down. Widow Mine is finally destroyed. Brave Widow Mine. This harass is still going on. Oh my god, we've got a point defense drone here to keep the Raven alive. TY now focusing down the Vikings in his opponent's base, just being incredibly annoying, but in the meantime, taking control of the north half of the map.
I mean, that upgrade advantage is going to be really sick.
Yeah.
Like right now, TY doesn't have to do anything. He's looking for openings, but it's
I think he should wait. Yeah, wait for 3-3.
Exactly. If you have 3-3, then there should be no way.
You'll never lose a Marine versus Marine fight if you have 3-3 and your opponent doesn't. Like,
nice
straight
hot
up.
pickup. And the detonation goes off doing nothing. But you're absolutely right. Like, he's going to have 3-3 very soon. he has an extra base. Beyond has a slightly larger army, so in my mind, TY should play defensively here. Alternatively, he could suicide his entire army into the base and make this really entertaining, but let's not do that right now, says TY.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Bomber Spirit is always here, though.
Oh, dear. Right now, I don't think you want Bomber Spirit, I'm afraid. Hopefully, he'll do better in the TBT tomorrow, but Solar did kind of tear him to pieces. TY looking really, really good right now. Just needs to hold on for that 3-3, and then he can do whatever he wants with Beyond.
Yeah, I really love the way that TY is. I love everything that TY is doing right now. It just makes sense, right? He's just playing smart. He's controlling the game. He's not committing too much. I think it's beautiful to watch. I don't think you can do it any better than the way that TY is doing it right now. And his 3-3 upgrades are almost ready, and that's pretty much the moment when you really want to start pushing the issue.
Yeah, because you have that specific edge, and Beyond is going to go for it right now. 3-3 is kicking in about 5 seconds. Beyond walks right into a huge amount of tank shots, and now 3-3 is done. And this is the point where TY can say, alright, you want to fight? I'll take a fight.
His marine count is not that high, though, in the middle of the map. I kind of wonder where the rest of his marines are.
Where the hell did they go?
Yeah, he has a lot of marines on production, and they're kind of just all scattered around the map.
He actually has a few just chilling in his main base, too, just kind of like not doing anything.
There's 4 medevacs worth at the top of the map. I have to wonder if he wants to try and deny that 4th with them. There is, of course, the risk that Beyond pushes with his entire army and is able to break TY in the middle, but right now, things are looking really good for TY, and the amount of bank he's got to back this up, too.
Beyond left a lot of units behind in his natural, so if those tanks siege up, grabs very quickly and he steams forward. If he gets all of those marines, it is a nice little pickup. Or maybe 1 or 2 medevacs, but nah, TY too good for that to lose everything, but he did lose quite a bit there.
TY looking to try and set up. Can he make this happen? I mean, he can just keep flanking around to the north, avoid Beyond's army completely, and deny that 4th base.
That was a small window of opportunity to actually pick up a couple of marines and drop them on top of the tanks in the middle of the map, and maybe Beyond could have, make things go his way. He could drop.
It's still really tense though, because like Beyond still needs to stall this game out as long as possible, but he has the economic disparity now, and that's what's going to hurt him in the long run, because he really desperately needs to get 3-3, because he absolutely will not win a fight without that upgraded advantage unless TY move commands into him.
And let's not forget, since we're playing Legacy of the Void, he desperately needs a 4th base as well, because we're 15 minutes in, and then your main base and your natural base, yes, they're pretty empty.
Yeah, and Beyond's bank is nowhere near as good as TY's. Nice little move there by Beyond. He gets a pretty decent position, does some damage to TY's army, but he is on borrowed time. I mean, he had the 4th denied, he's mined out in his main, he's even starting to mine out at his 3rd at this point. This is like the Terran quandary right now. Because of mules and because of the limited amount of resources available, you've got to expand it. Right now, TY is saying, no, you can't.
I would love to see him float over his main base. I think that's something that Terrans should start doing a lot earlier in Legacy of the Void. There's absolutely no reason to have that orbital just sitting there right now.
I agree. Should get rid of it. Get it out of there, man. He needs the money so badly right now.
Yeah, really, really does. I mean, TY is just drowning in cash at the moment. And nice little moves by Beyond to take out a couple of siege tanks here and there, but Beyond has to somehow break him or use this to secure.
And those drops still hitting him every which way.
I love TY's harassment in this game. He has been all over Beyond after deflecting that early push, and that's more workers getting murdered here. There's just this one Marine that has killed about 5 workers up to this 4th base. It's actually trying to deny the 4th base on its own and doing a pretty good job of it. TY just suicides a bunch of workers because, like, you know what? I don't need them. I need more units.
Yeah. I think that's pretty smart, because look at the army supply of Beyond. He's at
163.
If we look at TY's southwest base, he has a bunch of orbitals morphing in, so I do think this is a pretty smart move. He can
let's go mule.
Massive army.
Yeah, I like it a lot. TY backing off, and Beyond is going to go for it. Into the mouth of hell he dives, but a lot of these siege tanks at the back weren't set up. It didn't really matter, though. Big shots coming down on Beyond's army, and now the disparity.
That top right. The planetary, no!
It's gone! Oh, that is a big move right there by TY. Beyond's got no money. He's all in right now. He's got to fight.
I mean, he's actually doing pretty decent. He has to be very careful with the Marines that he has, because he doesn't have too much money left. But if he picks up a couple of his tanks and drops those tanks even more aggressively, if you look at what is left right now for TY, defensively, not a whole lot.
Yeah, Beyond has double the tanks of TY. This is really important to note. In a straight-up fight, TY actually cannot really engage into this despite that upgrade.
No, that's very true, and now he can't mine from this base, although it was pretty much mined out anyway, which is mining gas, and lovely little collection of free units here for Beyond. He's able to just pick some stuff off. TY is looking to drop on top of the tanks here. Is he going to be able to make that happen? The Marines already move into position. No, that doesn't work, and suddenly...
He's trying to run down the ramp, but Beyond actually has a supply lead now. He's chewed up so much of this army.
That was
is this real life?
That was 2 metapacks full of Marines. That's so crucial right now. 131 army supply against 86. And you know, it's really funny. TY even scanned in the middle of the map on the right side to see if there's bases. He's like, where are you getting your money from, man? This doesn't make any freaking sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the army he's had for the longest time and hasn't really lost. He's maintained those tanks, and right now, the additional bases of TY that are actually funding this economic advantage are starting to take some shelling. Beyond just equalized the upgrades.
TY, man, he's trying to push up towards that northeast base once again. There are some tanks and Marines there. I really think it's important. Beyond, just cover that base. You need this so badly.
Yeah, he can't afford to lose that right now.
Position now. I think he's in an absolutely phenomenal position.
I don't know how Beyond did this. This is disgusting.
Look at the units lost as well. He has been so ridiculously cost effective. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, Beyond has just done incredibly well. Considering the amount of harassment, successful harassment that TY was able to execute, the fact that Beyond was able to come back and actually push this army supply lead and equalize the upgrades is insane.
He got Protoss, man. That's what we always say. You play great, you kill workers all game, and then your opponent has a bigger army and he wins. But I don't want to sell Beyond shirt, because he did way more than that. It wasn't just a Colossus A move in HUDs.
TY continues to get pushed back. You got to bear in mind, though, TY has a lot of orbital commands. Like, he can replace this army if he can mine, and that's exactly what he's trying to do, but Beyond is trying to break him in the meantime into a very strong siege tank position.
I think it's really important to note that Beyond does not know about that very southwest space. There's one on the west side that he's just scanned, but there's a fully saturated southwest expansion, so TY is getting money, and it's not over yet.
He's sending one medevac right now, though. He's sending one medevac that should probably find it.
Oh, he's just scanned. He sees it. He knows it.
Yeah, he knows it's there now. And therein lies the question. Can TY hold on to either of those bases? I mean, really, if he moves out, his natural's going to be forfeit, so maybe he can't. And then, that's when Beyond is able to capitalize.
And I mean, he's still down 40-50 army supply, so if Beyond just sends one medevac full of units to the south side, that's a very hard decision for TY to make. Does he send 2 medevacs to clean it up? And if he does that, well, then his main army is again going to be so much smaller. And he doesn't have the money anymore either to replace 3 or 4 tanks if he loses them right now.
Oh, here it goes. TY getting super aggressive. This is a nice move, actually, by him. He pushes Beyond's army all the way back and gets a good siege tank touch. Now he can swing around and try and defend this base. And honestly, there's only like 1 tank from Beyond there, so I don't expect too much damage to be done.
Well, there's still that medevac going to that other base that's a little bit more southward from here. At the same time, though, TY out of position right now. Beyond is going to capitalize on it. He's going to try to maybe breach the natural.
It's going right for the natural.
Oh, dropping on the bottom of that ramp as the Marines storm up.
A lot of tanks, though. Will that be enough? I mean, that is a lot of units that Beyond just lost here. The tank positioning from TY is really, really good, and Beyond's been shoved back.
Wow.
But that bottom left base is going down as well. He's going to be able to kill all the SCVs, and he actually should be able to kill the planetary before it can morph too.
A lot of workers gone. TY just dropped into the base of Beyond, is trying to do some damage to the production here. Beyond was unable to break the natural, but the mining base is gone here at the bottom.
Yeah, Beyond lost a lot of units there. Of course, shutting down that base at the bottom, that is probably the most important thing, but the attack into the natural, that didn't really go all that well.
No, it didn't.
Left way more tanks behind than I thought he would.
And suddenly, TY is pushing back in again.
Yeah, I just want Beyond to fly over one of his orbitals. It doesn't make any sense, man. Like, why wouldn't you fly them over?
I really don't know at this point, because those orbitals are proving to be absolutely useless. Like, he could very easily be mining from other places. TY goes for a drop, which actually does not work out incredibly well in the base. He loses quite a lot, and yet more workers are gone too. I mean, TY is losing basically all of his workers and is relying on mules here. TY goes for a big shelling attempt on this planetary, but I mean, he could lose his army if he's not careful. He needs to get the hell out of there.
One medevac did get picked off, but there was no units. He's still active with a couple of Marines, so he's going to drop Marines again into the main base, but he has to be really careful. TY is still down 30 army supply. He cannot afford to lose units, ends up losing another medevac.
I'm
just so impressed. I'm just so unbelievably impressed by how well Bjorn has recovered from having his armory and his +2 armor sniped. Like,
yeah,
he was so delayed in a stage where you usually just lose if you're behind on upgrades, and he grounded out. And this has just been an awesome TVT to watch.
Yeah, this has been great. I mean, these guys are so evenly matched, but right now Bjorn has the edge in every possible aspect. I don't know what you do as TY from here, other than just like try and get your economy going again. I mean, he has multiple orbitals. He's doing really well on the mules here, but it's Bjorn's weird decision not to float those orbitals over is kind of hurting him, and I'm really not sure why he's doing that.
I guess maybe he feels like he only has 27 workers and he can just drop all the mules in one base because mules overmine SCVs anyway. That's like the only reasoning I can think behind it. But look at his third base, his initial third base, 4 or 5 SCVs just idling there.
Yeah.
He could have 12 SCVs mining on another base. Of course, you know, you make it harder for yourself to defend those bases, but you know, I think it's worth the investment.
Yeah, TY loses another 3 workers from some auto turret harass over to the west here. TY is, of course, relying mostly on mules to keep his marine production up, but this is starting to look a little bit ugly. Bjorn is trying to push forward here. He's going to try and jump on top of TY's army. TY in a decent position, but I don't think he's got the numbers to hold this. Bjorn is finally able to break that army.
Yeah, a lot of the Marines were just out of position. I think they were trying to deal with that Raven or something, because it really didn't look like TY had almost any Marines over there. Now he ended up losing a bunch of siege tanks again, and that really hurt him, because the forces of Bjorn were just overwhelming there. Maybe this is the last try for TY?
I think it very well might be. I mean, we're seeing Bjorn slowly start to zone and creep down to these remaining mining bases of TY, and if TY loses those, that's his only edge in this game gone.
Yeah, he's still harassing as well with that one medevac. He had 3 or 4 Marines.
Raven in the bottom left gets more kills too.
Man, that's pretty brutal. I mean, the harass from TY was pretty good. He killed 10 workers, but I think Bjorn's army is just going to run over him here by the looks of it. Most of the tanks aren't actually in range, though, so Bjorn is not taking great trades, but he just has too many units.
This has to be it. TY cannot keep up this fight anymore. All of his medevacs are exposed as well. He tries to flank those siege tanks on the north side, but that's it.
What a game. Bjorn goes up 2 games to 0, but what a game.
Choo-choo. Now it's very hard not to be on the hype train. That was a really sick game by Bjorn. Oh my god.
I can't believe we just watched that. Bjorn was, in my opinion, Bjorn was just like, he had that smart opening again, but he got swatted back. He got the cute drop from TY that denied the upgrades, and everyone's just like, oh my god, everything's just coming up TY this game. And then Bjorn just sits, he's just like, no. He's like, no, this isn't happening. I'm gonna win this game. I'm sorry. And I just, that was inspiring to watch.
I don't know what it is about the Sandisk Invitational with great TVTs in the round of 4, but we're getting another one right here. You know, last time, of course, we had Flash versus Bjorn in some of the best TVT that's ever been played, and now we've already had 2 electric games out of TY and Bjorn, and we're going to see a lot more of that, I hope, over the next few maps.
2 awesome games, but also 2 very, very different games, right? Like the first game, everything just kind of goes well for Bjorn, and that's one of these games where you start rolling, and it's a lot easier to micro when you're ahead, you know, and then just everything starts going your way. But the second game, he was actually behind, and he was being outmined up to like the 15-minute mark, 15 minutes straight. TY was literally mining more money, and sometimes quite a bit more money than Bjorn did. But at one point in the game, Bjorn only lost like 12 or 13,000 worth of resources, and he killed over 22,000. Like, that's insane in a TVT between 2 supposedly be evenly matched players. Like 9,000 resources while working with the same unit composition. I have no idea how you do that. That's insane. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I hope the rest of the maps live up to those 2, because this has been great so far from Bjorn and TY, really going at it, and the scoreline doesn't really reflect what's actually happened here. You know, TY had opportunities to win that game. It was very, very close for a long time, but Bjorn somehow, some way, just managed to make it happen. So here we go, folks. Dusk Towers will be the next game in our best of 7 series here between KT Rolsters, TY, He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Terran to the north of Dusk Towers versus his opponent to the south position in the red trunks, also playing Terran with a 2-0 lead. X-Teams Beyond.
So Nate, if you're TY right now, you went for a relatively quick CC 2 games in a row. First time a little bit greedy, you got punished. You're like, second time I'm going to do it a little bit safer. Are you just going to do it again? Because it definitely wasn't the opening. Like last game, he was in a great position.
I like TY's build, right? Like you open up with the economy, and this game he's already switching it up, by the way, with a really fast double gas, but I still don't think it was necessarily bad. Like that fast Cyclone with the turret can handle most anything that your opponent's going to throw at you. Maybe a fast tank drop could still be a bit tricky, but I still like TY's build. Beyond just seems to have a little bit of a better handle on moving through these like wonkier phases that were created by the Legacy of the Void changes, but I don't know. I got to throw it all out the window now because TY is doing something pretty weird, just taking both gases this fast.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what that's going to be. Obviously, it's going to be tech-orientated, but the question is what kind of tech? I mean, we may see TY open here with a Reaper and then go straight into a factory, but he's actually opening with a Marine.
Yeah, and Beyond has also changed his build up too, though, is another important thing to mention, because he's going for a Reaper expand, whereas the last couple of games he went gas first, Reaper factories for that Reaper Hellion push. So Beyond is saying, okay, you kind of dealt with the, my basic opener. Now I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm not gonna stay predictable, and I do like that as well.
So this is pretty much the absolute quickest factory you can get, I think, in Legacy of the Void. So I'm curious to see where TY is gonna go with it. Do you think he rushes straight up to Cloak Banshees, or are we going to see something a little bit more exotic than that?
I think both are pretty solid options. Like Tank Drop is still like an opener that some people bust out. He could still. I don't think it'll be Cyclone just because he's on one base. Like I don't know of any good Cyclone builds, but didn't we see a little bit of cheekiness yesterday? There was like a Liberator tank push and like
a 1-1-1 basically.
Yeah. I actually think that could work in this matchup too. To be honest.
I mean, there is a tech lab coming down on this factory. It is going to be a tank, so this could very well be the 1-1-1, the Marine Liberator siege tank push that we were able to see.
The one thing I would say, though, is it doesn't have to be Liberator because it is against Terran. Like, the tanks will do enough damage to the ground units. So this could just be like
drop.
a tank. Could be a Marine tank Viking push. Could be a Marine tank drop as well. Like, the drop play, I think, is also totally fine because you're just abusing the fact that your opponent doesn't have good anti-air. But Beyond is opening with that starport, so it just comes down to how fast is he going to get a Viking.
It's a good question. The Reaper comes in. What does the Reaper see? Not a great deal. Well, it gets to see the barracks, but that is about it.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Beyond because he's producing Hellions as well, and most of the time whenever you produce Hellions you want to rally them across the map, right? Because you want to see if you can do something with it. Okay, now he's going to sacrifice it and he will see everything, so that is actually very, very useful.
Yeah, TY is going to have to move now. The tank drop is on the way. The Viking follow-up here, but I would expect Beyond to get a Viking, and he already is. So I wonder how effective this tank drop is really going to end up being as a result.
Maybe you can find. I think it all comes down to the first shots, right? Like if you're able to get one Hellion before your army takes any damage, you might be able to do a little bit more with it. But actually, no, he left the Marines behind. Okay. I guess it's not going to be able to do a whole lot. He actually has to be very careful, make sure he doesn't end up losing it.
Yeah, he's using his boost pretty quickly. I mean, he gets out of danger, but that expansion is substantially delayed due to the way that he opened up, and he didn't really get anything for it. And I think if you're Beyond, the Banshee follow-up is also fine because you know that your opponent has already invested most of their early gas into this pressure. But I like this, He's just saying, okay, I have an economic advantage now. I'm going to go into my normal style.
Yep, Cloak Banshee on the way here for Beyond, whereas TY is somewhat lagging behind and not really able to get much done with this early attack. So many missiles
I'm a little bit confused. I really thought he was going to combine the tank play with maybe some Marine pressure somewhere as well. He only had a couple of Marines, but sometimes, 3, 4, 5 Marines early game TVT can make all the difference in the world. He's still going to try to be annoying, but he's already quite a bit behind right now. Like, he's down 6 workers, his orbital is not even done yet. There's Cloak on the way for Beyond. Beyond took absolutely 0 damage. This is not a nice position to be in if your name is TY.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I wonder if we're going to be seeing yet more medevacs, or if we'll actually see Liberators out of this starport here for TY.
He's going up to 3 bases right now, probably realizing that he's a little bit behind economically, 7 workers to be precise. But this third base is actually going to be very exposed. This first bench, he's going to see it immediately, I think. Maybe he can pick up the SRV and then he can start working his way in the natural.
Yeah, the Viking and Raven,
they're
not in position either.
Turret.
Yep, Raven, Viking are the other side. I assume they were going to expect maybe a bit of drop nonsense or maybe even a Cloaked Banshee coming from that direction. And now, of course, he has to evacuate his natural.
This runs everything away. This is so bad.
Yeah, this really sucks for TY. I mean, I don't really know what TY's plan was at the start of the game, what that build was supposed to accomplish.
Maybe he's hoping
lost
against
so many resources
CC first into double Rex or something. I have no idea. Like, that doesn't seem very good in PvT. Are there any builds where your Starport is very late, Nate? If your name is Beyond? Because I guess like the only thing that really shuts it down is that first Viking.
I think if you don't open up with fast factory, like or a fast starport, really, you're just kind of like opening yourself up to get abused and used, man. It's so because these builds are strong. Like that's why everyone has to open up starport because these builds are so good. But now, like TY is just in this awkward spot where he is being, for all intents and purposes, bullied in this series.
He does have a massive lead in terms of tanks, and I'm just wondering if he can translate that into anything.
Yeah, actually 5 tanks this early in the game. That's a lot of tanks.
It is.
He has
what do you do with
almost
them?
more tanks than Marines.
I mean, actually, if he went across the map right now, he'd probably be in a pretty good spot. I mean, he's obviously got to deal with a Cyclone, but I mean, Hellions he could rip apart quite easily with this army, and now he's going to go for it.
And be honest with him, to see that army, he's probably a little bit intimidated by it. He's like, oh, I actually thought I was doing better in this game than I apparently am, but he still is. He doesn't really have anything to worry about.
No,
Most important thing is just don't be caught out of position, right? Because if 4 or 5 tanks start leapfrogging their way forward towards your natural, that's when it gets very scary.
That is very true. And these Hellions are not going to do a great job. They will be able to slow this down a little bit, which maybe is all he needs, because what we don't see are a bunch of medevacs to actually allow these tanks to hop quickly across the map. There's only 1 out on the map total. I mean, Beyond doesn't even have any.
I mean, at this point, big things to keep in mind as we move forward here. The upgrades. TY has that faster +1, but you know, neither of them. I wouldn't say he's like crazy ahead. And in this particular position, Beyond's got that a little bit of a worker lead. So the biggest thing that we have to keep our eyes open for is just the positioning in these later fights, because this map is huge. There's so much space for these medevacs to fly around and take these positions. Like, sensor towers are nice and all, but you really need to keep your forces very well spread, otherwise you can still boost past them because it's so easy to be out of position. And just look at the mini-map. Look at the way that Beyond is spreading out these random Marines.
Yeah.
Like, this is just smart play, because he's thinking, you know, it's like I'm talking about it, and then as I'm saying it, he's thinking about it. It's like, yeah, actually, I want to have map vision because I know that there's so many different angles I could be dropped from.
This guy is playing so well. Like, there's all these small things that he does in every single game. Like, there's a reason why he's just not really dropping any maps right now. This is because he's doing everything right. It's sick.
It's hard to argue with that. He is that damn good. Cyclone has been spotted. TY looking to actually kill it, and he does grab it, Beyond with an uncharacteristic slip there. The Rotty curse, perhaps.
No. I mean, he's still in a phenomenal position. I'll take Beyond any day from this point on. And,
Yeah,
and this
totally.
also perhaps even a compliment to Parting. Like, Parting put up a phenomenal fight against this guy yesterday, but it just seemed like Beyond has been practicing Legacy really, really hard, and he has a very good idea of what's going on, which openings are strong, and you know, TY is a world-class Siren player, and so far it seems like this series, it's all Beyond.
Yep, I mean, Beyond's sheer lead in terms of everything at the moment is just insane to look at. The only thing he doesn't have an advantage in is number of tanks, and that may give TY a nice defensive advantage, but it depends as to whether or not Beyond decides to throw himself headlong. What I love is just the tendency of TY to go crazy with the sensor towers. He has absolute defensive awareness at all times.
No, both players did it right now, also getting their missile turrets. Like Nate mentioned, you know, this is a map where you can drop from multiple angles, and
I like this map for lots of missile turrets, especially.
And there's quite a bit of surface area in the main base, so it makes sense. If you're a 3-base terror, most of the time you're pretty rich, so spending a couple minerals here and there on the turret won't hurt you that much and can make your life so much easier.
And just look at the supply lead that all that early economy and everything we talked about is given Beyond. Like, he's just in a great spot. And if he denies this 4th, like, yeah, there you go. He denied it. It's like, what do you do?
Can TY even actually push out of this position? There's so many Marines here for Beyond. I mean, he's got double the Marine count of TY.
So Nate, do you feel like in a weird way that TVT, or that in Legacy TVT it's slightly easier to attack than it was in Heart of the Swarm because you don't have to like siege, unsiege tanks again? Like it seems like this promotes attacking more or stimulates
the thing is, like, as long as your tanks are in a good position defensively, like, because of the 2-second delay when you drop the tank, like, the defensive tanks will always shoot first, whichever ones were planted first. Like, they get, like, a free volley. So you can actually kill the enemy tanks before they even fire nowadays, but
yeah, but
still
I mean, like,
really
in
tough.
the past you had to roll them in and then siege up. That took even longer, right?
Yeah, I agree. It was also easier to be caught off guard, for sure. You know, it's just... It's just so crazy because you never know what, you know, if you don't have those constant scans, you know, what if the guy just flies 15 medevacs straight into your base, literally their entire army sieged up, you know?
TY looking for a position, gets a couple of shots off here and there, but so far not enough to break Beyond.
And he's starting to zone him away from his 3rd base. Like, if Beyond pushes in towards that rip any more than he already has, like, TY could just try to collapse on this as well. And I like that he's just trying to counter because he's saying, I don't think you can attack into me, so I'm just going to go for it and try to get some
I think he can attack into him, man. He has like 6-7 tanks over here. He's going to be ready. He has so many Marines on the low ground.
Yeah, TY is actually attacking across the map at the moment. There are a decent number of tanks from TY up to the top, and the Marine count is starting to get thinned out, but the tanks are about to fall. In the meantime,
Yun does something really smart. He moves everything up into his main base, sieges up, and he pulls everything away. So he's already in a position where he won't, even if he loses the 4th, the 3rd, he won't be in a 100% base trade if he can help it.
I would love to see those few Marines that Beyond still has on the top side of the map go for the SCVs. All those SCVs are extremely exposed, and I think they're very easy pickups.
Beyond looking to try and break that main. In the meantime, of course, a base goes down as TY's army is able to smash it, but now he has to contend with that huge number of tanks.
TY tried to drop in the back of the natural, but there is no space, and there's plenty of Marines there. Really good job by Beyond. He anticipated that move a while ago.
Yeah, it's just that nice little fruit basket of SCVs there that you pointed out earlier that could very easily die. TY is going to try and break the planetary. He should be able to do that with relative ease. And I love the little move of the medevac out there to say, hey, you want to repair, you're going to lose all those SCVs if you try to do that.
Oh my god, he's not going to try to come down this ramp, is he? Ooh, I got a little nervous there for a moment.
This is getting a little bit tense. I mean, Beyond is still ahead in terms of army supply, no doubt, but TY has a potent army on his side of the map and has so far proven to be a very effective sieger.
This game is so crazy.
Is pretty close. Like, this can definitely still go either way.
It could. Yeah, TY actually has a slight... He's going to have a slight upgrade lead.
Upgrade advantage,
by looks of it, yeah. Beyond, funnily enough, has the vehicle advantage, but that's about to even out.
Oh, is he going to see this coming over to the natural big... Oh, he's stimming over. He's got his army on the way.
Tanks are now in position.
Run into 5 siege tanks,
that's a really good position for TY, though. I mean, that's really, really nice. He may very well be able to smash that base. He kills a lot of SCVs in the process. Beyond has to reposition, but eats shots very early on as a result. The SCVs aren't repairing either. TY, he's kind of embedded here.
Oh, no. TY is mining on the right side of the map. That means all the SCVs are going to... Okay, he's paying attention. Ooh. That was very scary, because he took that 4th base and then he right-clicked on it before it landed.
That would have sucked, yeah.
Yeah.
So what position are we in right now? I mean, Beyond is mining from one base, basically. The other mining has been denied. His main is mined out. In the meantime...
in the middle of the map. This is so funny. I'm sorry, John,
what
but
is
the
going on
running
here?
Next to each other.
Yeah, and that's actually not going to go in TY's favor at all. He needs to get the hell out of there. He doesn't want to lose his medevacs either. He's decided to take a little bit of a fight, but he's going to get leapfrogged to hell if he's not careful. TY now has tanks stranded in that base because he has no medevacs to pick them up.
Oh, TY's going to try to break out of the main now, though. 3 tanks at the bottom of the ramp are not going to be able to hold this anymore.
Oh, yeah. He'll be able to pull this off, and then he'll be able to move his orbital down, which would be great. Lost a lot of his Marines. That was a bit of an awkward positioning there, but he has enough tanks to break through that. And now he can retake this base.
He needs to find that right side base, like, desperately.
I think he should have known, because the SCVs kind of gave it away, right? Unless he wasn't
Beyond
looking.
maybe just didn't see. I mean, he was being hit from so many sides
Oh,
here. TY
the
trying to deny
orbital.
this base. He's trying to focus this down. Will the orbital go down? Yes, it will. Lovely pick off there by TY.
Now Beyond is like, this is why I never float over my orbital, you fools. This is what always happens.
Well, the tank's finally being cleaned up at Beyond's natural.
Wow, he's
here.
gonna go for it.
He's going to try and crack him? Does he have the units for this?
He has
There's
so
too many
units
siege
left
tanks.
in
There are
hand.
No,
so many
ah.
siege tanks. Beyond's army starting to fade away here. A huge number of tanks from TY is able to hold on.
He doesn't know
Yeah.
about the right side base. I don't think he can do this. He just has. He doesn't
Oh
have
my
enough
God,
The
economy.
focus fire. TY
Just spread the
killing
Marines.
flying
Take
tank.
off.
That was so good. TY has turned this around. And for the first time maybe in quite a long time, TY is looking poised to take the map.
Yes. I mean, this losing that orbital against those 5-6 Marines is actually super deadly. If Beyond had that orbital right now, I really wouldn't be all that worried.
No.
But I was very surprised that he tried to go for it right on that particular moment. He had so many units at home. Like, he was working with 90 army supply, and I think at least 50 of it was actually at home. He had so many Marines at home, he had so many tanks at home. It's crazy to go for such a game-ending push.
TY, on the other hand, now thinks he's got it, and he gets the siege up before his opponent. Good shot so far. Beyond loses pretty much all of his tanks in that engagement. TY finally has the supply lead, takes another
Wow.
medevac out. Beyond starting to crumble here.
Yep, starting to fall apart a tiny bit. I mean, it's been madness, so I can't really blame him, but that's a huge shock, because he absolutely looked in control, and he played phenomenal as well this game. And now TY with the comeback.
These guys are so good. I mean, we are seeing an incredible series here. I mean, this is not just one great TBT. We've seen 3 now, and we've got a best of 7. I mean, there hasn't been a bad game in this series so far, and they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, this is actually a remarkable comeback, because things look very, very dicey for TY.
I don't know. I don't know what Bjorn's supposed to do here. He's got to like accidentally walk into him at this point. And he actually has a pretty good spread, so maybe he can clean this up. He desperately needs to kill everything here if he wants to have a shot.
Wow,
There's
yeah,
3
a lot of
tanks
Marines.
behind it. Nice thing, but look at the evacuation onto the high ground there for TY. Pulls his tanks back, leapfrogs them back, and now Beyond is bleeding badly.
You know, he's still scanning. He's scanning that potential fort base right now. He's like, where are you getting your money from? So, well, it's just that other base, man. It's that base at 3 o'clock. It's quite beyond. He's probably so confused about this game, and he would have probably made very, very different decisions if he would have known about that base. Like a single medevac with 5-6 Marines could have wiped out the mineral line a long time ago.
It's currently 13 tanks to 3 in favor of TY. That is a ridiculous number of tanks. This is the kind of position where I think TY could push and just win, but he's thinking, you know what, we should just secure the victory. Look at the number of idle SCVs from Beyond just waiting for a chance to mine something. I mean, he hasn't had a mining base. His income has literally been 20 minerals.
Yeah, pulling this back now would be like, I don't know. This would be like the greatest I've ever seen. I really don't see how.
I don't
he's
see how
supposed
he
to be able
could.
to make it happen.
With such a siege tank lead, you know, having 10 more tanks than your opponent, plus the number of medevacs to actually move them around, it would require some serious mistakes, I think, from TY.
All these medevacs are very low on HP though from TY, so that's something that maybe allows a window of opportunity for some mistakes. Look at the HP on these medevacs.
He's playing with fire, there's no doubt about that. Some tanks were lost here, but it's now 10 tanks to 1. I mean, yeah, Beyond got the better end of the trade, but at this point, efficiency isn't important. TY has 6 more tanks marching across the map here.
I think, like, I mean, Beyond still has more Marines, so if he can somehow, some way catch his opponent off guard, or, you know, get a great engagement, get a couple of those super low HP medevacs, then the dream is still alive. This actually makes me paranoid. There are 4 medevacs flying around with tanks that
0
have like 10 HP.
Yeah. That's actually ridiculous, but I don't think it's necessarily going to matter because that position is pretty killer and Beyond has been sent to the hills. GG, ladies and gentlemen. TY puts his first one on the board in commanding fashion.
Staying alive.
It actually shows a lot of character and heart there, man, because after losing a game 2, you know, the ones on Runes on Ceres like that, I think it's very difficult for a player to always mentally bounce back. That's something that we don't really see, but You know, if you're a competitor and you know that you had a hammerlock on game 2, you know that you severely outmined your opponent, and then he still wins, then it's just like, oh man, you know, this is really frustrating. I shouldn't have lost this game in a million years. But he just bounced back very strong, even being behind here on game number 3. So this has really been a very, very awesome series so far.
It has. This has been an incredible, absolutely incredible TBT. And we're not even done with it yet. It's 2-1. I know we have a minimum of 2 more maps, and we may very well go to the ace. This has been about as closely matched as you can imagine, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. We're going to take a break, though. Let our players take 5 and rest, because this has got to be intense for them. It's certainly intense for us. And then when we come back, Game 4 of TY versus Beyond. Hi, my name's John Bain, and it's my pleasure to thank Sandisk for bringing us top-notch Starcraft 2 entertainment at the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational. When I'm not casting Starcraft 2, it's my job to critique PC games, and to do that, I need the best hardware. One of the best upgrades that you can get for your PC gaming experience is a solid-state drive, so I'd like to encourage you to check out the Sandisk Extreme Pro SSD. It's engineered for super-fast read and write speeds and consistent high performance 24/7. What does that mean for your games? Faster load times, faster boot times, faster install times. Less downtime, more game time. Plus, they're easy to install, run cool, and are both virtually silent and energy efficient. If you're worried about reliability, no need. Sandisk backs it all up with a 10-year warranty. Game without limits when you step up to the consistent high performance of Sandisk Extreme Pro. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Beyond vs. TY has turned into quite the series, and it is going to hopefully only get better. 2-1 in favor of Beyond, but everything is to play for.
It's been super freaking cool so far.
This series has been awesome.
Awesome sauce.
If this is what Legacy of the Void TVT is like, then sign me up, because this is great.
Yeah, I'm so surprised actually, because I see a lot of my European Terran brothers, you know, not being too happy about the current state of TVT, but these games are absolutely phenomenal to watch. So.
Well, they aren't Beyond, apparently.
Yeah. Maybe they're just bad.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far. Maybe it just takes some time. Change is scary, right? And the matchup definitely did change quite a bit. And like they make it look so easy flying around with the tanks and stuff, but the whole engagements and stuff, everything has changed so much. Like it requires definitely a whole new skill set, and I guess it just takes time to develop that.
Yep, you may very well be right on that one. But this man seems like he's developed it already. To the northeast position on Orbital Shipyard in the red trunks, playing Terran, X-Team's Beyond. Versus his opponent to the southwest position, who has begun the comeback in amazing fashion. From KT Rolster in the blue trunks, also playing Terran, TY.
Seems like he's gonna go for a gasless expand once again. We'll most likely follow it up with a double gas though, like Nate mentioned before. If you open up with multiple Rexes, I think you're just setting yourself up to be so vulnerable, so susceptible to so many of these aggressive openings where you just can't do anything, you know. With slow Marines, there's only so much micro you can do yourself, and the ball is completely in your opponent's corner, so. We'll most likely follow it up with a quick gas, but we'll see if he can stabilize on his minor economic advantage that he should get from this opening.
Yep,
Yeah,
I'm
slight
interested to
differences.
see where he goes with it, because Beyond's going for the Reaper expand again, so we're not going to have that Hellion Reaper play that we got in the first couple games. Seems that this is just his standard build when he thinks his opponent can handle that Reaper Hellion pressure, and I guess TY gets the better end of it just for the slightly faster command center. I don't see this Reaper like getting him some crazy amount of damage done, although, you know, I guess obviously he would love for that to be the case. 2 Reapers.
Yeah, and this map, of course, it's very different than what we saw earlier today on Larry Crest and also even on Runes of Saras. Pocket Expand changes everything, makes it so much easier for TY to just stabilize behind his supply depots and buy himself that extra bit of time that he needs right now to get those first real units out. Because slow Marines, they barely qualify as units.
Yeah, they're pretty bad, especially against Reapers in the early game, because they can just be abused so much by those grenades for the zoning capabilities.
That's very true. We have 2 Reapers out right now, and they are moving across the map. There are going to be 4 Marines ready for them. But like you said, with the grenades, plus the amount of damage they already do, picking that apart shouldn't be too hard. And TY is now going for a reactor, so this is the limit of the units he's going to have for a while.
Yeah, I'm
he's
really
ready
curious
for
to
it,
see
but-
what I'm curious to see what he can do with this. Like, there's a lot of cheeky things you can do, and like the Marines immediately spot the Reapers, but there you see a little bit of that micro actually gets that Marine. It's pretty good.
Oh,
that's so
great
cheeky.
move. That's
Nice,
so good.
nice. He gets both.
Wow.
I mean, that should not
That
happen.
was good.
That is
That
great
depot.
control.
I was gonna say right before,
I love
I
it.
wasn't sure if he was just gonna YOLO up the ramp or not, but if Marines, if you know, like this is like high level stuff, like if you know that your opponent's Marines are standing at the edge of the cliff and you throw the grenades at the very edge of the bottom of the cliff without having vision, you can actually hit units that are at the top side if they're in range as well.
Yeah, but it's a pretty big ramp, so I can't blame Beyond for trying, right? Like, what are the odds that there are 2 Marines right there? Even if they are like on a distance, then they will already get way less shots off, but now they were standing right on top of the Reapers. So the moment that the Reapers get close to the ramp, these Marines already get 2, 3, 4 shots off it. Early game, that is so big, you know, every shot that your slow Marines can get off is crucial, and that went perfect for TY. He's gonna go for his little Cyclone again, once again, as well. We do see a little bit of the Cyclone in this series. It's nice.
Yeah,
This is-
I like the Cyclone. You know, for when I think about the Cyclone in Legacy of the Void, to me, it's the mid-game Reaper. It's that thing that, like the Reaper was like, oh yeah, Reaper will help you. If you get a Reaper out, you know, it can outrun Zealots in the early game if you get cheese. Like, the grenades are also pretty good against, like, Proxy Marines or whatever, like in Heart of the Swarm. They were pretty, like, it was good to open with these things because they would just had that health regen as well. And in Legacy of the Void, the Cyclone's like that mid-game, I can deal with this, I can deal with that. It's super useful. Getting aggressive with it's pretty weird. Wow, what
Whoa.
luck? What?
Oh
but
my
he has to
god.
drop real quick.
That's a huge shutdown right there. And TY's
That
getting
is-
the hell out of there. A Cyclone interception drop from TY.
Mid-game Reapers, Nate. Mid-game Reapers that shoot down medevacs.
I don't even...
That's huge.
Wow. Hey, can
That's-
the Cyclone kill the tank?
Never lucky.
Can he kill it, Nate?
Yeah, if he gets out of range, sure.
If he kites, he's got to kite pretty carefully, but yeah, he can do it.
Oh, that's
This
so sick.
Cyclone, unbelievable
really
from
sick.
TY. He's going to get the Viking too, maybe?
Baby rage.
Pick up, and go! Get out of there!
Run for your life.
Oh, that was unfortunate
that was
from TY. If he dropped it just a little bit further out, he would have been fine, but still, that Cyclone did some work, man.
Yep, I mean, these 4 Hellions did absolutely nothing. The last thing that Bjorn wanted to do with these 4 Hellions is bring them back home to take care of a Cyclone that already killed a medevac and a tank, so this is extremely well done. It's really cool to see momentum shifting as well, right? You know, just like in game number 2 it looked like it was good for TY, and then it just kind of feels, alright, now this could potentially end up in a 4-0 because Bjorn is not going to lose today. And then suddenly he has that remarkable comeback, and now here in game number 4, this is a phenomenal start for TY. I feel like almost everything went his way.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And those Hellions are going to get nothing done, really, other than killing a few Marines for the cost of a Hellion. Third base is up for Beyond. Third base is up for TY. The battle lines have been drawn. Barracks aplenty are being built on both sides here, and we are up for yet another, what looks to be lengthy game.
I'm actually a little bit surprised. If you look at the worker tab right now, like TY is ahead by 2 workers, but 2 workers is not a very big deal. And then I was like, well, but this army is going to be quite a bit bigger, right? And that's not really the case either. So
No.
These builds from Beyond must be really good, because even when the opening or the early game doesn't really go ideal for him, he's still far from out of it. I mean, you could even argue that he's ahead right now, which is pretty insane, because it doesn't really make any sense to me.
Now, this is going to be pretty interesting to see because this map still has a lot of those drop spaces, and once again, I think Beyond does a phenomenal job. Look at the mini map, that spread. He'll have some notice of some kind of whatever comes his way, and seeing these tanks on the left side is very important. He can reposition his army with those medevacs.
Look at this
2
one
medevacs
Marine.
on the right side. That one Marine
Yep.
should see it.
Christopher Columbus, the Marine. You see?
He knows.
He's calling home right now. They're coming.
TY trying to set up a double-pronged attack here, trying to work his way through this debris. However, Beyond does have a couple of siege tanks. And that is one flying Marine right into the depths of the void right there. In the meantime, TY looking for a
missile
drop.
turrets. These missile turrets are about to finish up, just a little bit too late, but 2 Vikings. Okay, it's still, he's gonna find an opening. That's very well done. Man, great timing.
But can he get much done with it? You know, it looks like Beyond is just going to collapse on this and destroy it without too many losses. I mean, he's killed, what, 5, 6, 7 workers.
Now, if he gets out that tank, it's gonna be very close, but it seems like he will be able to at least save the tank, maybe even the medevac. I think that went as good as possible for TY.
Still on equal workers, though, even after trading that, and it's... Yeah, everything is actually incredibly even right now. They finished their upgrades at exactly the same time.
Yeah, and I'm thinking this is really important as well, because Beyond has had his upgrades really messed up in this series. And last game, he actually never got +3 armor. And in Marine versus Marine fights, it's a big enough of a deal that it could have been one of the reasons why he wasn't able to take it in some of those trades. So it's really important that they both stay focused in this position, because I think it's more important than ever to get every possible advantage when you've got tanks flying around the map.
It's so easy
to
be caught out of position by that. You've got to be aware at all times.
Oh, perhaps a big drop in the main. He's going to go for the natural instead.
Yeah, he's just going to threaten the natural a little bit. Those tanks are pretty beaten up, actually. It'd be nice if he was able to maybe drop a mule to repair, or maybe bring some SCVs along with it. The last thing he wants to do is lose those. Beyond charges in and actually loses a lot of Marines trying to get rid of these tanks.
Well, let's get 2 tanks immediately already. He lost 5 SCVs, a couple of Marines being dropped in the main base right now. That's very annoying to deal with, because all the units are out of position. The engineering bay...
Taking a lot of fire, the repairs are in there, but I don't know if they're going to be enough. Looks like he's going to be able to hold on for the time being, but he did lose 7 more SCVs in the process. He's going to lose a lot more, too.
Don't lose your upgrades again. Don't lose your upgrades again, Beyond. You need them.
But is it worth losing 17 workers to protect that +1? I mean, +2? I don't know, man. He just took a big economic hit from that.
And the good thing is that he is constantly building SCVs, so it's not like the 17 SCVs is going to absolutely cripple his economy right now. He's still working with 52. He's building 3 at a time, but that was a little rough. Great pickup though by TY, putting the pressure on with the tanks on the low ground, they're picking up those Marines immediately and going for the main, realizing that most of the units are out of position. Just excellent play. And look at his scan, by the way, on the top side. Perhaps he knows that the medevacs are there, but he hasn't seen them just yet.
Oh, may have overextended that one. Beyond was able to stim forward and eliminate 4 siege tanks in the process.
Viking spots the 2 medevacs. Well done.
Nice grab. I mean, even for the amount of damage Bjorn has taken, he's still obviously on point here. He's pretty much recovered his economy. He has now a slight lead in terms of his armor supply.
Look at the units lost resource step. 5,724 against 5,725.
Doesn't get much more even than that, does it? That's ridiculous. This game is so very, very close. We got yet another drop here from TY, but that's going to get shut down this time. Beyond's starting to really get a handle on TY's harassment.
Yeah, I think like being aggressive is always awesome, and it makes it super awesome for us. But sometimes you have to take a breather as well and be like, all right, you know, it seems like my opponent right now, he's just covering every angle, he's on 3 bases. It's time to find an advantage in a different route, find it somewhere else. Look at 3-3, by the way, it's quite a bit quicker right now for Beyond.
Yeah, really important in this position. That army outside the 3rd base looks scary too. I think right now the biggest thing is just going to be when these engagements happen. Getting those tanks spaced out properly is so big. He's going to go right in, he's going to get the first shot off.
Didn't get much done with that. And if TY had dropped even just a little bit quicker, he might have got a good volley. As it stands, TY and Beyond fairly evenly matched in this engagement. Scans coming down, looking for opportunities. There's another drop from TY right on top of a tank.
Yeah, I love that drop because he scanned the main. He saw there were a couple of Marines there still, so he's like, alright, well then let's try my luck in the natural. He could potentially pick up these units and go still for the main. But he's not going to do that for now. And he's also pushing back the main army on the south side of the map.
TY is so good at this.
Yeah.
Like, he's so good at the 1-2 punch, you know? He goes for the harassment, but then realizing that his opponent's army is probably going to be falling back, he chases them down with boosted tanks to get a few extra kills. And there's really no risk in him doing that.
Worth mentioning, by the way, Beyond did not get a single upgrade for his tanks, while TY is already working on +2.
That is a big deal.
It's going to make a difference. Yeah.
Siege tanks take 4 shots to kill other tanks unless you have +1. Then it's just 3. So it is actually a pretty huge deal when it comes to straight up fights. If they were to both drop their tanks in range of each other at the same time, TY's tanks would win like every time.
And TY already has a 2-tank lead as well, so just to make matters even worse here for Beyond.
Well, he's flying into the main base. There are a bunch of missile turrets. Most of the units are out of position. Maybe the E-base could be a target.
That would be interesting to see. It looks like, however, the collapse from Beyond has been able to kill all of the tanks, and that's going to be a cleanup here. TY investing quite a lot to really not kill all that much.
Yeah, he lost a lot there. There was 5 medevacs, 3 or 4 tanks as well. Always risky to drop into missile turrets. It looked like it could have been a great move, but Beyond just replied to it immediately, or responded to it immediately, and had the right answer.
Yeah, that he did, and TY is actually quite far behind in terms of army supply now. He needs to watch it. He gave up his tank lead.
Man, that hurts extra much, because he actually does have great upgrades on those things.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Now he's managed to rebuild that tank lead. He's got a few more out. He's building 2 at a time, whereas Beyond is only really building 1. But
Beyond is in a great position, though, to go for a fight, because that 3-3, like, if he can fight before it's done for TY, like, that is absolutely huge. I guess we won't have that opportunity, but
no.
You know, those trades during that period of time are really, really important.
I mean, the clock is ticking a tiny bit, right? Because he still doesn't have a 4th command center. He knows that. He scans right now. He realizes that TY is on 4 bases. So now the tables are turned, and now Beyond is going to be the one that's going to look for an opening and hope to find it somewhere.
Yeah, Beyond is falling into the same trap that he's been falling into in the last couple of games, where he'll get up to 3 bases and then just kind of not go any higher than that and suddenly realize he's running out of resources. And at that point, TY seems to do a great job of zoning him out and preventing that 4th from going down.
What is he doing? This is such an awkward position to be in. He just cornered himself.
Yeah, that wasn't great at all. And TY, he looks like he's got a flank on him from both sides. He should be able to take full advantage of this.
He pigeonholed his whole army.
Yes. How do you get out of there? He's gonna wait for reinforcements coming from the north, but if I'm TY right now, I'm looking at this and I want to push the issue really hard.
And he's going to be able to do it, and those +2 advantages are going to really have his collapse right on top of the tanks, and Beyond takes huge losses.
I don't even understand what just happened there.
Sickly enough.
Yeah, Beyond just made a positioning mistake, and TY took advantage.
If he can get the orbital, that would be great. But
that's a lot of damage coming in, +3 Marines. That may very well do the trick. Can he make it happen?
He saves it!
Oh, nicely done. He's moving in there. In the meantime, a drop does come down, but the SCVs kill the tank. But 20 SCVs for TY died there.
But he's still ahead of Beyond, and he has a 4th command center.
Oh, Beyond going for a pause here right now.
Oh, that was a great save. Losing that orbital could have really turned things around a little bit. That would have made it a much more tricky game for TY. He would have to be much more careful with every single unit that he has. But keeping it alive, responding just in time again, really puts him in an awesome position right now. Look at the tank count. 12 tanks against 2.
That's huge.
Wow.
I mean, with the +2 versus 0-0 tank, I mean, that should be a game-winning advantage there for TY. Although, as we've seen throughout this series, you'd better not count Beyond out.
Yeah, I'm not calling any game over until I see a GG sign, that's for sure.
It's been a really great series, and this is, I think, probably a really good sign of things to come, man. If the TVTs at the high level are going to be like this, just imagine once these guys have a few more months of actual practice with the real, released version of the game under their belts. In the Kespa team houses, no less.
It was such a unique thing. I've rarely seen that, where a massive army of one player just, he's like, I want to drop here, no, and then I want to drop at the fort, no. Well, natural, no. You know what? I'm just gonna set up over here. And I think the moment he unloaded his units, that's like, I think I've made a terrible mistake. Like these units are not leaving anymore. And TY is probably wondering what the hell is going on. Why did this guy just put 5 tanks and 25 Marines in the middle of my 4 bases and 2 armies?
That was a very odd move. What was going through Beyond's mind at that particular time? Was he just unaware of the position of TY's forces? One way or the other, he put himself in a very compromising position, and TY was able to take advantage.
I think it's just one of those moments where you're in way too deep, right? Like, you want to go for something, and then it doesn't really work, so you're like, alright, I'm going to go for option B. That doesn't really work, and then you're like, well, I'm extremely committed right now. I got to find a spot somewhere, and then you just settle for something, and then obviously, while this was going on, Bjorn also realized, okay, this is not where I want to have my army. That's why he was bringing in the reinforcements from the north. And if TY would have respected that army a tiny bit more, then there is a realistic chance that Bjorn buys enough time for himself to actually snipe that fort base. And then it's still maybe not great, but then it's something he could work with. But TY immediately realizing, he's like, well, that's a big army, but I've got everything over here, and I don't think that's everything that you have. So then he just cleaned it up, and he was able to save the fort base. Just massive. And clutch crisis management there by TY, because even though it looked silly to us, it's never easy to deal with a big Terran army that's just sitting there.
Yeah, I think biggest issue going forward here, man, it all comes down to like these positioning, right? It's just been who's been dealing more damage with those drops, and that's what Legacy Void's all about. That non-stop harass, non-stop pressure as we get back into the game.
Absolutely, that we do. And TY currently with a commanding lead in pretty much every aspect right now. What can Beyond do about that? TY's harassment has been, for the most part, on point. A little bit risky at times, no doubt. But I have to wonder, how does Beyond come back from this with such a siege tank deficit?
Yeah, what do you do, Nate, when you know your opponent has way more siege tanks than you will most likely ever get, and he has better tank upgrades? And by the way, TY is still getting tanks. Like, he's up to 14 tanks by now. So what is the best play for Beyond?
I mean, in most scenarios in TvT, when you're behind, you got to go for some sort of crazy drop and force a base trade. But in the way that this game works now, with like how little the base lasts, like you can just keep moving your army with whatever expansions you're actually mining from. Maybe if he drops into like the main base and forces them up a weird bottleneck and kills everything, but I don't see that happening. Like, it's just so difficult because normally it's the Doom drops, but those are actually better countered in Legacy of the Void simply because you can reposition your tanks without having to siege them.
He is floating over his orbital from the main base, so he does have a forward base now, sort of. At the same time, he's sending a medevac to the top side, but you know, that forward base of TY, you can't really drop it. There are 2 tanks, there are a missile turret on top of those tanks. Like, that's just not going to be the option. And at the same time, TY is marching across the map. And, you know, this game could end soon unless something very crazy happens.
TY long for the drop there, does get shut down quite nicely by Beyond, but in the meantime, here comes the big engagement, and the siege tank positioning here is huge. Admittedly, half of the siege tank's firing in the wrong direction, but it didn't matter. GG.
Ugh.
TY ties it up. 2-2.
We got a series on our hands, base.
Oh, man. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I mean, we talked a little bit about Byung versus Flash, but this may very well be better than that. I mean, it's much more evenly matched. There's so much crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, this has just been, I don't know. If you were looking for a reason to be like, oh, I hate siege tanks and TvT being able to fly, this doesn't make any sense, when like this change is bad. It's like, no, actually these games are incredible, and
yeah.
This should be the series that if you're new to Legacy of the Void and you're like, I think flying siege tanks are bad, you sit your friend down, you show them this series, and then they're like, I see the light, and now now
you
you're
know
ready.
what, sir?
Now you're ready to watch.
Flying siege tanks are not all that bad. You're right. Nate, are we going to see any Liberators this series? Like, we're going to have
these guys are too fast.
Small maps left.
They're all going. It's too fast. The series is
on
too fast.
On this map though, your arena, maybe.
I wouldn't mind it, but I still think that the games they've been too fast paced. Like Liberators would, like, what are they gonna do? Do they try to park over the Marines that either just stim right into them, or like, I feel like Liberators will probably pop up more if someone tries mech, but I don't know how viable that is with how fast the game happens right now.
So let's say you're a 4 or even 5 base tower and you got all the upgrades a man could dream of, and you have quite a bit of a bank. Is it worth then getting a fusion core and maybe that range upgrade? Is it then something we're going to see eventually?
Maybe. I think the bigger issue comes down to, like, if you're probably trying to trade out your bio and just be more cost effective, in which case the investments into Liberators probably isn't as worth it. But I don't think Liberators are bad. I just don't think that. I think at this phase, before players have a better grip on how to shut down the big drop plays, like either with like just cutting medevacs and getting more Vikings or whatnot, like I still think that it's going to be all about those drops, all about those tanks, and just a positioning game, really, more than anything else.
I'm super curious to see how this game will play out, because this is, I guess, the wildest map of our current map pool. It's kind of the dash terminal of the previous season, but I don't think people hate it as much. Like, the only thing I hate about this map as a Protoss is the natural, because it's so narrow and tight. But other than that, I think that we're going to see a lot of madness on this map in the upcoming months, and I think it's going to create a lot of entertaining games, and we already had a couple, even this tournament.
That is very true, and here we go, folks. This is Arena, and this will actually be the final map in the current rotation. We'll explain that in a little bit. To the northwest position in the Blue Trunks playing town, it's X-Team's Beyond, who is currently tied 2-2 with KT Rolster's TY in the Red Trunks playing town to the northwest. Now, the way that the veto system is working, we have all 7 Legacy of the Void ladder maps in the map pool. Every player gets 1 veto. that means that they run out of maps after Game 5. So what that's going to mean is we're going to redraft the maps. The pool will be open again, and each player will get 2 vetoes, and they will be able to go from there.
I like the idea of that quite a bit. And there is still a chance that one of the maps that got vetoed previously, that it will actually make it in. Because if you lost a certain map, then you might be actually more tempted to veto it, you know? It's like, I'll leave Dust Towers in and you end up losing Dust Towers. It's like, why did I leave that map in? I should just veto it. So
yep.
There is still a chance we're going to see something different. But at the same time, there's also the opportunity for revenge, which I think is quite fun.
Indeed. We've got a double gas opening here from TY, and we have only single gas from Beyond so far. I mean, this looks to be like the Fast Factory build again, doesn't it?
Yeah. Beyond with the gas first is the thing. So he gets that quick factory up. And the factory is still very quick for TY because even though he goes barracks first, he takes both gases at the same time. So, like, it kind of balances out in a way where TY just has more gas, like, a little bit earlier. And, you know, they both can still go for the Fast Factory. The TY will be able to go, like, Tank Banshee if he wants, or that Cyclone Viking, which he's been favoring so far, but off one base, I'm not feeling that'll open with the Cyclone. I think that'd be a little bit weird.
Yeah, I'm curious to know where this is actually going to go, because we did see TY go for this kind of weird 1-1-1 that just accomplished nothing in a previous game. So is TY going to attempt that again? And if that is the case, then how is he planning on doing it?
Well, there's a Widow Mine in production this time, so that's very different.
Well, certainly from Beyond, yeah. The question is, what are we going to see from TY? I mean, he's going Tech Lab immediately, so that does indicate that it's going to be Marine Tank Medevac once again.
Maybe this is a slightly better build for him to face.
Is
Cyclone?
He's going Cyclone. Well, you know, he got a lot done with his...
No.
Oh, no, he's not. Okay. So this is... I mean, this is Banshee then, because he's making...
I like it.
Huh. So Marine... Widowmine Banshee?
Yeah, I mean, some players used to use the mine to, like, run it out in front and try to bait a Viking to run into the mine outside their own base. Okay. But the Widow Mine is equally as good defensively. Like, you can just put it by your refinery, hope the Banshee runs into it. If the mine hits the Banshee, then it dies to 1 shot from a Viking or 2 shots from a Marine. So there's still a lot that you can do.
It's going to be a Raven. TY was supply block there as well.
This is a super defensive build from TY.
I mean, you can't really blame him. Like, you look at this map, you look at the airspace between both bases, and then you realize you're playing against Beyond. I know what I would do. I would open him with 4 missile turrets, guys.
I mean, he probably should have, because Beyond's going right for him right now with 6 Marines and a Widow Mine.
Yeah,
there's no detection right now.
Behind the refinery, though. The Widow Mine behind the refinery is probably going to connect.
Oh, he connects, but it doesn't quite kill him. If he could have only finished that off. Widowmine goes right into the middle of that army, but it looks like this is going to be a cleanup here.
What? Yeah, wow, that actually got very close there, because if he would have lost that last Marine as well, then he could have picked up those 2 Marines and repositioned them, and that would have been very, very annoying for TY to deal with. He would have probably ended up losing 4 or 5 additional SCVs before that Cyclone would have gone out, so very clutch pickup there, and that 1 Marine, that it's very funny, because that Widow Mine dropped, and it actually had a perfect hit. It splashed over all the Marines and over a lot of SCVs as well.
Oh, and that Viking is getting chased down right here. Do we have the Cyclone range? We do.
Nice.
And you know what? I'm on board with TY's defensive build. This is obviously working.
Yeah, Cyclone Raven just gives you so much to work with, because the Vikings, you know, if you have more, you generally just win. But the Cyclone allows you to really use that.
Now it gets to go mobile on the map with it.
Yeah, you can't deal with it, and it's nice, you know. That pickoff that he got in the last game was also equally huge.
Uh-oh. Well, he managed to find himself another Viking, and he can drop the Cyclone this time, and I almost got that's cheeky. I mean, this map design in particular.
Yeah, with the map design, this Cyclone is actually still okay, even if it was stranded there for a while, because you put it on patrol, and then it's like, well, have fun trying to drop me.
Now, in the meantime...
Really good move by Beyond, bringing those 3 Hellions back there that were the Zelnaga Watchtower, because if those Hellions are in there, the Cyclone is going to lock on that Viking immediately, he's going to kill it, and after that, these Hellions will get picked up one by one by that Cyclone again, so really good move by him, bringing him back.
A couple of good shots from these Hellions, just trying to slow down TY's advance here, thin out the Marine count in this very small choke point.
Those Marines are pretty weak, so I think he's definitely got the job done. 1 or 2 tank volleys will kill most of them.
Yeah, TY needs to back off here, I think. He's not going to get anything accomplished.
Oh, forces out the Raven energy too. You know, you don't want to drop those turrets. They don't last long at all.
No. I mean, that was just used for zoning. And right now, Beyond is actually heading through the center here. There is a Cyclone moving in, though. And, of course, there is a tank flying somewhere as well.
Oh my god, this game is going to get very wild now, because I think both players are going to commit. I don't think either of them is going to turn around,
Let's see
so
a base
a lot of SCVs are going to die.
Yep, this is going to get weird. Alright, so TY has dropped into his opponent's base and is hitting the natural as well, and now we see Beyond going in. But the thing is, like, TY has this Cyclone.
That Cyclone!
Which is an anchor. I mean, it's proven to be hugely useful here, and TY's attack is actually working out much, much better than Beyond's right now.
And in this early mid-game phase, that Cyclone is just so good because of that incredible DPS versus those single beefy units.
TY is figuring things out as he goes, man. You know, we're seeing a new TVT meta evolve right in front of our eyes, and it's quite beautiful here for TY. It's working very well for him.
This is such an awkward spot for Beyond to be in. He's not mining from his main, he's not mining from his natural. Every second that goes by, TY is still mining. His main base is completely uncontested. Like, Beyond really needs to clean this up ASAP, and he will, but not before losing an insane amount of mining time, and even almost his orbital.
Yeah, lost a lot of workers
siege
too.
from the west, siege from the east, and when you're siege from the west and the east, it's pretty difficult to get into a position where you can actually do something because you're have to already spread yourself out just so you don't get pinched in even further.
It's worth noting, of course, that TY lost a bunch of mining time here as well. He hasn't been able to mine from his natural. He's eventually going to break out, but right now he hasn't been able to make use of that worker lead that he's got. A Liberator is coming!
Hi. Hi.
I haven't seen one of those in a while. This Cyclone is still alive! It's killed like 2 tanks, 2 Vikings. It's doing so well.
It's very important for Beyond that it would be awesome to kill that Raven ASAP. There's only 3 Marines protecting it, so that should
true, if
be
you can get rid of
doable.
that. That would be pretty great, and there's no energy for a point defense drone to protect it either. TY, however, is now moving in. He has a Liberator.
That Liberator, I think this Liberator, there's no Vikings. This is, well, actually they're on the northwest, but this position, like that Liberator could just pick off those tanks so fast before it even has time to respawn.
Yeah, the Raven's not going to do much here because the PDD now costs 100, so there's not really much you can do with that. The Cyclone is getting aggressive here, taking some bad tank shots, but TY continues to say, I don't want to let you have this. What can this Liberator do, though?
For the mineral line or the tanks? I don't think he really has to go for the tanks right now because he already has this contained, so just go for the mineral line, I'd say.
I would have liked to see the Liberator with the army because I feel like the Vikings. I mean, if maybe he won't notice in time.
It's happening!
Oh yeah, the Vikings haven't moved. He's not moving yet.
This Liberator is farming its way through the SCV count right now. The Marines move in. It's like, nope, terrible idea.
I think that was awesome. That was a great investment.
Yeah, totally. Kill 7 workers, 3 Marines with that. Totally worth it. And throws Bjorn off again. I mean, TY seems to now have the psychological edge in this game. And there's the GG, just as we say that.
Watching this series evolve, like TY is just like slowly like picking apart like the little bits that he can actually grab in this series, and this has been awesome to watch. Like he really has figured out a way to kind of mess around and at least use these, now that we're getting onto the smaller maps, especially these aggressive strategies.
Yeah, this map is just so weird though. It's so bizarre and it plays out, I think, in such a unique way that it all comes down to that first widow mine behind the refinery. If that mine doesn't shoot at the medevac, I think there's a lot of potential already in that first drop from Bjorn. And let's not forget that if he kills that final Marine, he can just pick up those 2 Marines he still had, drop them somewhere else. And I think we're looking at a completely different game. Like, it's really sick how Starcraft sometimes comes down to a single shot. But if he kills that 1 Marine, he's going to be able to do way more economic damage. It's going to take a lot longer before TY can actually clean it up. And I think everything would have been different. So even though it was a great game by TY, I don't think we have to count Bjorn out just yet. Like, maybe a tiny bit unfortunate over here on Arena. So I think this is when I think TotalBiscuit is probably contacting the admin right now as the players are going to veto once again.
Indeed, they will. Yep, we're doing a new coin flip, and they're redoing the vetoes because, of course, the pool has now been used up. So they get a chance to veto 2 each this time.
I'm a little bit surprised they left Arena in, and they vetoed some of the other maps. Like, I guess this Overwatch themed map, Central Protocol, I guess that's a map that they feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable on because it's so large and it's really hard to go up to 3 bases, but it's kind of interesting though. And even like Prion Terraces, like that, to me that seems like a pretty straightforward TBT map.
TB, can't we just force them to play on Zelnagi Caverns if it goes to the decider?
You know, I think that's not a good idea, and we're not going to do that.
Steps of War, then, maybe?
Well, that's completely acceptable.
I think it's some slag pits or something like that.
Yeah, I love Slag Pit. Slag Pit was just a great map. Absolutely impossible to wall off. I love it.
Yeah.
Even when you had a perfect wall off, Zergling still ran by your Zealot.
Just
It's great.
awful. All right, we're going to take a break, folks, while these guys veto and set up the new set of maps. It is currently 3-2 in favor of TY. He is on match point after pulling a great comeback. Beyond was looking dominant, but things seem to be slipping away from him. Can he pull it back? We'll find out after the break. Hi, my name's John Bain, and it's my pleasure to thank Sandisk for bringing us top-notch StarCraft 2 entertainment at the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational. When I'm not casting StarCraft 2, it's my job to critique PC games, and to do that, I need the best hardware. One of the best upgrades that you can get for your PC gaming experience is a solid-state drive, so I'd like to encourage you to check out the Sandisk Extreme Pro SSD. It's engineered for super-fast read and write speeds and consistent high performance 24/7. What does that mean for your games? Faster load times, faster boot times, faster install times. Less downtime, more game time. Plus, they're easy to install, run cool, and are both virtually silent and energy efficient. If you're worried about reliability, no need. Sandisk backs it all up with a 10-year warranty. Game without limits when you step up to the consistent high performance of Sandisk Extreme Pro. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational number 2. We have TY currently leading 3-2 against Beyond. After a surprising comeback, it looked like TY was on the ropes for a long time, but he's suddenly taken momentum in this series and continues to push forward.
You mentioned the Roddy curse, and after the first game I wasn't a believer, but the moment I said I was a believer, he actually lost 3 straight, so considering the fact I also finished last, I think, in the BlizzCon prediction game, maybe I have taken over the Artosis curse, and that would be a terrible thing to have.
That's not what you want to inherit, is it? You know, in Artosis' will, he bequeathed you his curse. It's like, no, I don't want that. Can I just have the chest of drawers instead?
I refuse to believe that that's what's going on, and I think there's just like a temporary malfunction in the Roddy blessing, but I know it's still alive and kicking, so I'll bounce back. Man, we'll see Beyond bring it to Game 7 at least, hopefully. Yeah.
Let's see, let's see. All right, next match is going to be on Dusk Towers, once again. So, as we said, we've refreshed the pool. There have been new vetoes, and we will be diving into Dusk Towers perhaps for the second time. And let's see.
I mean, the first time was absolutely awesome, right?
Yeah.
It was a great game.
That game was that was like the real scrap fest for sure. Like that was, I mean, this whole series has been very scrappy, and I think that's the best part of Legacy of the Void so far.
True enough. All right, here we go, folks. We're jumping in here on Dusk Towers. It's my pleasure to bring you Beyond from X Team. He is in the Red Trunks playing Terran to the south position, who is currently trailing 1 map against his opponent. To the north position in the Blue Trunks playing Terran, it is KT Rolster's TY. Match point for TY here.
And the moment I see Dust Towers, I can't forget about that 4th base that TY took on 3 o'clock over here. That was very exposed and was the only mining base that he had for a while.
Yep.
Imagine if Beyond would have been able to shut that down. He takes a 3-0 lead, and well, we've seen a couple of turnarounds when somebody's up 3-0, but you know, not a whole lot in the history of StarCraft 2. Just to go from 3-0 to 3-4, you know, 4-3, however way you look at it, that's an insanely difficult task. And I'm sure that if Beyond ends up losing this series, he will be kicking himself for not finding that base.
TY is going with a gasless expand opening here by the looks of it.
He's really been favoring this in this series. Like, he's kind of mixed it up here and there, but this makes me feel like he'd probably go into that, like, defensive Cyclone Raven or Cyclone Missile Turret opening. Because the Cyclone it's honestly just really great at shutting down, because it can kill the medevac, you know, it can kill the, you know, Banshee that comes in, and it's much better range. Like, it kills the units faster than Vikings do, too. Like, it's just really, really good as an anchor for your defense in the early mid-game phase.
What the world really wants to know, though, Nathan, is what does Nathanias do on his ladder games?
I actually like this Cyclone, but I'm not really good enough to make it work. I think going up for the fast Viking plays is pretty fun, like the Marine tank Viking and just pushing away the drops before they come in and just getting up to 3 racks as fast as possible. Because like the tricky part is you want to get to 3 racks like these guys do so that you can start your bio production. But you're obviously, the worst fear that you usually have is that one of those tank drops or something comes in and catches you off guard. So you always kind of have to do something gas related before you go into barracks production, or you usually just straight up die to tank pushes.
All right, I can dig it, Nate. I can dig it. This is why I love hearing you talk about TVT. I just ask you a very simple question and you give me an awesome monologue. Wouldn't want it any other way, Nate.
I mean, hey, if someone wants to know like why you shouldn't open gasless, like even this gasless barracks expand is somewhat risky, but at least he goes immediately to double gas, so he's never gonna, like, TY will never put himself in a position where, like, unless he's getting one base gas first tank rush like all in, like he should almost always have a setup that can handle a push, because also to keep in mind that this map's rush distance is so long that pushing with tanks like that fast, you're not even going to have medevacs to get him across with either.
That's a great little scout, by the way, by this SCV. I love how he kept it idle on the left side. You know, it's something that people sometimes did in PvT when you know the Reaper is out on the map. Did the Reaper actually just die on the other
yeah,
side?
TY shut it down again. I mean, to be fair, like, this is a much, much better map to do it on. There's very little cliff space to jump in, but TY was already prepared with full Marines, and he trapped it. The Reaper saw the factory, and he saw the Marine count, and that is about it.
But of course, TY did have a great scout on the other side of the map, because of that single SCV that he kept hitting from that Reaper. So that's nice, actually a pretty solid opening again. Of course, this time it was just a single Reaper and not a double Reaper opening like we saw on Orbital Shipyard. So not the end of the world for Beyond, but pretty solid start for TY once more.
Yeah, Beyond does seem a little shaken, honestly, based on the last couple of games, but he is very, very good, as has been demonstrated. The question is, can he bring this series back? I mean, TY's veterancy, I think, is probably on display here. I mean, this guy has been playing quite literally since he was, what, 12?
It's crazy.
Yes.
There's the defensive Cyclone now as well,
tank,
by the way.
Yeah, the tank is very far out of position, by the way. He has a couple of Marines that are right now heading towards the edge of his main base. Good timing there, but it's still going to be a tiny bit too late. So maybe Beyond is able to do a little bit of work here with his Widow Mine and a couple of these Marines.
Widow Mine's down, and the Marines should be able to focus down a few units. He gets 3.
He does have to get rid of that Widow Mine now. He won't be able to have a missile turret in time, so if he doesn't want it to fire again, he'll need to scan.
Yep, so that in itself is...
Whoa, TY's building 3 E-bays too, I just noticed that.
I'm sorry, he's what?
3 E-bays.
Oh, I mean, that's perfectly standard. I don't see the problem with that at all.
He's already having one on the way, and he lets the other one finish.
And off goes another Widowmine shot, and Beyond actually decides to try and go back in there, but it's like, actually I haven't killed enough units, never mind.
And then now he doesn't build a turret.
Yep.
He has 3 engineering bays, and he scans.
That is a little
Kappa
bit of an odd one, isn't it? He'll never expect it. Now Beyond is going for another drop into the back here, and there is no missile turret.
Beyond was like, oh, he's only going for 1 eBay, and he's not even upgrading off of it. What a scrub. And then he's going to make this drop, he's going to be like, what?
I mean, this is a really good drop. I mean, now TY is the one that's, like, perhaps struggling a little bit over here, because a couple of these things absolutely made no sense. And his units being out of position. The other medevac is still active as well, even though it only has 2 or 3 Marines in it. Might be able to do a tiny bit of work with it again. Awesome play by TY, and by Beyond, and not exactly sure what TY is up to.
Yeah, TY seems a little bit shaken now. The harass from Beyond has been really, really great up to this point. It's given Beyond something of a work lead. Off goes the shot. The Cyclone picks off the medevac, so Beyond has finally been forced back, but not before doing quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think that was pretty decent.
I like how Beyond got the defensive Cyclone as well. He's like learning. He's like, oh, that's pretty
it's a good unit.
Yeah, let me do it. Just one to catch drops is actually so nice.
Yeah, why would you not have one? I mean, these guys are using them very effectively, and not to mention, you could put one of those in a medevac, you go chase down a Viking or something like that with it.
How did TY get 73 out of 69? I don't get it.
He lost his supply depot, I believe, in that drop, if I recall correctly.
Was it like burning down or something?
Yeah, I assume so. Huge worker lead here for Beyond, though. Look at that. I mean, his army is totally fine. He's got a 14 worker lead. It's a great start here for Bjorn.
Yep, I think he barely missed those 2 medevacs though on the north side. This is always kind of a scary moment when you know that you've been aggressive, you did some work. It's just a matter of time before you're on the receiving side of things. So you kind of know it's coming. You pray to God that your units are in the right position. He does have a missile turret, but in the back of his natural, well, he has a single turret and that Cyclone, boys.
Cyclone hype.
Cyclone will shut that down quite nicely, and so far so good here for Bjorn, who has not taken any harassment damage at all.
TY's upgrades are in a really good spot though. He's like a solid lead on that too, and I don't even know if there's an armory yet for Bjorn either.
Do you remember when you played Red Alert, if you built like 5 factories, your tanks built quicker? If you build 3 eBays, your upgrades go quicker.
Well, I'm just waiting for Neo Steel Frame to be built any moment now.
Yeah, man. Building armor is never a bad choice.
That's actually true. Very true. Cyclone coming in and is going to be able to lock on and kill that medevac, I imagine, quite easily here. That's the wonderful thing about it. You're not getting away. If the Cyclone is in that engagement, it's going to nail that medevac on its way out.
You know, it really hurts as a StarCraft player when sometimes you don't want to micro your units, or you shouldn't micro your units, but that's just so against our principles that you will always try. You're like, I'm gonna pick it up and try to get away, even though you know there is no way it's ever gonna get away. So, like, the better thing would have been there to just let the units die and maybe take one more SCV down with you, but it's just like in our natural instincts, like, no, I want to save these Marines, I'm gonna pick them up, but you know, there is no running away from a Cyclone. That's just the way it is.
No.
And that's like the same if you have like a couple Zealots in the middle of the map and a bunch of Speedlinks around it. Like, yeah, you can try to run away, but it's not going to happen. So you may well put them in a corner and try to kill as many SCVs as you can. Look at that Cyclone, by the way.
Ty is there. I mean, he just got an army dropped on the Cyclone, but that's still not only detected that drop, but delayed, and the Cyclone's getting away too.
At the same time, though, Bjorn with multi-prong aggression, doing a little bit of worker damage into the main base. He's playing an awesome game so far, and the supplies just show it. 161 against 132, 91 army supply. The only thing is that Nate mentioned as well, the upgrades. Those are a little bit better for TY.
Yep, that is true enough. Bjorn's drop has been severely delayed, though, which has allowed for TY to get his sensor tower up. He's allowed to set up a bunch of siege tanks. So, I mean, he should be fairly well prepared for what he's about to get hit by.
This is almost, by the way, a mirror image of what we saw earlier today. So if you guys still watching, no, you're not daydreaming. If you woke up early, there's nothing wrong with you. We're all playing the same map. And
I just like how they kept the same exact sensor tower positioning as the original match. You're like, yeah, these were pretty good spots to put them.
Yep.
I just love the usage of sensor towers from both of these guys. They're realizing just how important it is.
Yeah, it makes your life a lot easier. Vision is pretty much everything in StarCraft, and just having 2 or 3 seconds extra to react to something that just changes so much. That's why you see, you know, every Protoss have observers on the edge of their bases, and every Zerg, if they can, will always put an Overlord there. Just having 2-3 extra seconds to deal with a drop changes everything, because dealing with a drop where units are being unloaded one by one is 100,000 times easier than when all 8 Marines are already unloaded and they stim forward. It just makes it a completely different game.
Yeah, Bjorn is setting himself up, though, for a really deadly move, moving in on this base, but at the same time, he has those drops ready to hit the main and the third.
TY with the clutch tank positioning, however, and I think, you know, maybe one important thing to note is that now in Legacy of the Void, like, the sensor tower is so much more important thanks to the ability to drop tanks that way.
Yeah, I agree. For sure as well.
Bjorn's going to set himself up a 4th base. I mean, he's ahead in every aspect at the moment, actually.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. Like, his 2-2's done now, so this is a really good moment for him to attack before the +3 finishes up for TY. So it really just comes down to the positioning in the fight, the engagement.
TY went right into that one, wasn't able to accomplish too much, but got off a couple of good tank salvos as he baited everything in, and Bjorn decided not to deploy his tanks. In the meantime, TY does go for a drop, does get shut down at the
the other drop. There are 2 missile turrets there, and Marines running forward as well, so I'm not too sure about this drop from Bjorn either.
That was really costly and accomplished not a great deal, I might add. I mean, it did kill some workers, certainly. And it has given yet more economic lead to Bjorn, but that was quite the investment to kill some SCVs, and TY actually has an army lead now.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think killing 9 workers in this phase in the game is worth it. When your opponent already has all the infrastructure he can dream of, he's on 4 bases, 4 orbital commands, he has all the upgrades going for himself at least. Like, I don't think you really need 65, 70 workers anymore, so I don't think it was that great of an investment for Beyond.
We've got some tank drop harass here. Beyond's army's kind of caught out in the middle of the map. It looks like it's going to try and crush TY's army on the high ground here. However, TY is able to jump on top of the tanks.
Wow, lost 2 tanks, almost 3. He was able to just barely save them. You could really see what Nathan mentioned there before. When you drop the tanks, they don't shoot immediately.
No, they don't.
It really takes like a second and a half. And TY capitalizing on that, immediately picking off a couple of those tanks with his Marines, which almost looked like a suicide stim, you know. It's like he's stimming forward into 6 tanks. Well, yeah, because he knows he can kill 2 or 3 before they actually shoot at him.
Oh, great use of the medevacs there to give him vision on the high ground. TY gets a couple of nice salvos off. Beyond does have maybe a numerical advantage, but he takes the bad end of the siege tank engagement again.
Man, Beyond had not really a lock on this game, but he had everything going for himself, but it just felt like in the last 2 minutes he can't catch a break, and TY is just crushing him everywhere.
Yeah,
This
TY's
series,
position
man,
looks good.
it's been the struggle, right? Is that Beyond had all this momentum at the start, but TY has just been slowly figuring him out, like outpacing him, and now taking a fight would actually be disastrous because he still has to wait for that 3-3 just a little bit longer.
Yeah,
And let's
definitely.
not forget, again as well, +2 on the tanks for TY against +1 for Beyond.
It's a definite difference. Here he goes. Beyond is actually boosting right into the middle of all of this, and he is able to crush the front line of TY, but can he build... I don't think he can deal with the second siege line, and he eats a lot of shots on the way out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very hard for either player to break one another because of the sensor towers, because of all the missile turrets, because of all the tanks that are left, and you know, neither of these 2 guys always grabs all the units they have. They always leave a couple of units rallied into their natural or into their main base, just in case the drop does slip by. They have a couple of units ready right there, and you know, it's just going to be economic warfare from this point on. I do love how Beyond is still looking for openings and actually kind of finds one here. Gets 2 tanks, gets a couple of great shots off, but I mean, if he stabilizes here on the high ground, that could actually be a big problem for TY.
Yeah, because I mean, that's actually what happened over the other side of the map. TY actually sieged and killed the planetary fortress in that very position. Now Beyond is trying to return the favor.
Liberator's coming out for TY, though. I'm really excited to see this because these medevacs are weak, so they're a solid solution to that. But at the same time, you know, I really feel like this is an important, you know, next step because it's evolving a little slower than it did at Battlegrounds, where we saw those Liberators come out really fast as a response to the tank siege lines. But I do believe this is the ideal way to handle it if there's no Vikings on the map.
Do you think we're going to see Fusion Core as well?
Probably not. I think it's too expensive, but I think that the Liberators are still fine because even with the lower range, your tanks can still cover the Liberators even with the shorter range against Marines.
Beyond tried to drop 8 Marines into the main base, and he's just like, nope, let's not do that right now.
I think it's going to be... It's weird, because in a situation like that, maybe in Heart of the Swarm, we'd actually see transition out to Fusion Core Battlecruiser. But now that they've split up the upgrades, I have to wonder if you're ever going to see that again. I mean, you don't build 0-0 Battlecruisers against 3-3 Marines.
No, it's that they made them a lot weaker. I mean, the mech transitions, or especially sky transitions in general, have been pretty much obliterated. That's why another reason why we're probably going to see way less mech in Legacy of the Void.
I can't say I'm very, very sad about it.
TY and
I'm a little sad.
Beyond jockeying for position. A little bit of a shelling on the way as Beyond just goes right up the middle here. Finds a sensor tower.
That's a lot of tanks though. Gotta be careful with those Marines.
Oh man, this is really risky. I mean, look at this. TY is going to be able to drop on top of it. Pushes that back. Most of the tanks do get evacuated though.
That's almost the same thing as we saw on that previous map.
Where he got sandwiched, yeah.
Yeah, this time it wasn't that bad as he did manage to get a couple of tanks out there, but you know, 20-30 Marines down the drain, 2 or 3 tanks, quite a bit of damage on all these medevacs. He's gonna be very careful with this kind of stuff. He is taking more bases though. He's more aggressive in taking bases.
Oh wow! TY! That was not a good move at all, and TY runs right into that. TY now has a significant vehicle damage advantage against his opponent here.
And the Liberators on the left side too are going to siege up that planetary mineral line, it looks like.
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing, and they're going to be able to pick off some SCVs for free and also deny all that mining, which is absolutely huge. Kill a bunch of SCVs in the process. And does Beyond have an answer to that? I mean, I believe he's got 2 Vikings, which are nowhere near right now. Now they finally move.
Yeah, I would love to see those 2 Vikings. Exactly, he finds those 3 tanks. I was about to say, like, oh, 3 free tanks, you know, you drop a couple of Marines on top of it, and you should have it. Oh, he's gonna go for the tanks instead?
Maybe Beyond trying to push his way through here. Beyond maybe has the forces to break that, but if we're looking at the tank count, it's currently 12 tanks in TY's favor versus 7. Plus the upgrade lead. This is looking again. Beyond is going to have real problems breaking TY because of the tank lead.
There are 3 tanks that are sitting on the south side, and I think Beyond was thinking about killing them, and then suddenly he's like, actually, those tanks don't bother me all that much. If you want to have 3 tanks sitting there not doing anything, I'm just gonna let them be.
TY's trying to meet up with them, though, to see what he can do. A little bit of harassment coming down on the eastern base of TY. Beyond continues to try and push forward and break this base as well, but TY's going for it, and that's not a good idea. There are tanks already prepared here.
Yeah, some SCVs traded out, but that orbital should stay alive, and I think that's the most important part here. He does not want to lose that base. As he gets dropped on that center side.
Oh, man.
Giannis is everywhere right now, and he's actually picking up a lot of very expensive units and SCVs left and right as well. I don't know how he did it, but somehow, some way, he found an opening while TY's army was just doing nothing on the other side of the map. He has to kill that planetary right here.
Yep, and he's going to go and try and do that, but look at the amount of damage Beyond is actually doing at the third base here, and he's dropped again on the base over to the east. That's now been taken out. More shelling coming in. Beyond, I think, has got a position to try and crush TY's army here. TY finally with a cleanup.
There are no medevacts over here for Beyond. He can take that fight. Look at the amount of medevacts on top of TY's Marine army. And where are the medevacts for Beyond?
They're across the other side of the map. They're too busy dropping. And we've got several of Beyond's units now out of position.
I think he really needs a couple of them over here, because he could lose way more Marines than he's supposed to lose.
That is very true. The tanks in TY are in a good position. A lot of those Marines, like you said, are very, very badly injured. They will go down immediately.
Low medevac count is really hurting Beyond in this position, I fear. And now he's going to try to move up to push him away from the planetary. I like this, but still, very tense moment. He doesn't know about that planetary on the west side either.
That is true. That could.
Beyond needs a little...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sorry. He needs a little bit of time right now, I feel like. Because he has that base, he's definitely still in it. But those, it started off great, but the last few trades, they were not that great. And now he really just needs to bring this bio army back to full health, which is exactly what he's doing. At least because those medevacts were idle, they have plenty of energy to heal for days. But he needs to buy a little bit more time.
TY is going for the planetary again. This may very well be a costly engagement for him, and it was.
Yeah, loses a lot of that army, and these siege tanks are left abandoned to die.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, TY with an uncharacteristic slip up here. Beyond taking full advantage.
His army was suddenly a lot stronger as soon as those medevacs came back. Those Marines looking a lot more healthy with all those green bars, and then you have a lot more courage to steam forward as well. And he picked up those tanks immediately, and that was a great pickup. He kept the base alive, and that wasn't easy at all.
And suddenly, Beyond seems to be getting a little bit more momentum in this series.
Yeah, it's the swing, man. Beyond realized, he's like, oh my god, this series has been so awesome. It needs to go to Game 7, guys. I gotta win this one.
This is still a hard road for him. He's still a map behind, but he's looking a lot better this time around. And TY, however, should not be counted out. I mean, the army supplies are pretty even. It's 118 to 122. They both have huge armies to play with.
And there's still a minor upgrade advantage when it comes to the tanks. You know, +3 against +1 is a pretty decent deal. However, getting this orbital is massive for Beyond. That's a great pickup.
I love it. Big deal there for Beyond. He does it with bare minimum casualties as well. There's a little bit of a drop here from TY, but it is a planetary, so it's only denying mining. It's not really killing all that much at the moment.
He's sending out more, though, to the left top side. It's actually could be a very risky moment to send out this many units. He's going to need the Liberators, I think, as well. The Liberation Zone would be great.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm kind of disappointed at the lack of the use of those Liberators. Now I think for holding this position, it's good, but they've really had very little usage in this game, and I'm a little miffed.
Yeah, there's not really enough tanks here for TY, which definitely concerns me, and these Stim Marines will just murder these Liberators. I mean, they don't have any covering fire right now. In the meantime, TY flanks around, and he wants to kill both of these planetaries and basically starve Beyond out, and those are his only 2 mining bases, but...
Oh, that was so good. He picked up that one tank. That changes everything. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, John. I don't think he's going to kill either planetary.
I think Beyond's slowly taking more and more control over this game.
Yeah, I mean, the
nice push on the right side.
The army is really, really split up here for TY, and he's not really able to break out properly. And bear in mind, TY's not mining anymore. Like, those mining bases went down. Beyond, on the other hand, I mean, TY is broke. He's on 30 minerals.
Yep, he's gonna bring everything back and then try to clean up this army and then maybe go for a massive counterattack and try to win the game, which I think is his best choice. But Beyond is bringing all his units across the map as well, so if TY wants to cross his army, he has to do it right now.
He's going for the flank, and he goes for the tank, takes it out, pushes this army back here, but 90 supplied are about 109, and Beyond can afford units, and TY cannot. He's going to have to move those orbitals out.
Yeah, Bjorn just has more right now. I don't know how he's supposed to win this fight.
Siege tanks were undeployed here for TY. There's the GG. Beyond equalizes. It's 3 games to 3. We're going to the ace.
It could have only gone to Game 7 with the way that these two guys are playing. And the running curse has been lifted. Yes!
This match, though.
Yeah. I mean, this has been some incredible TVT. There's not been a bad game. And now we're going to Game 7. That I certainly hope is not a letdown. I don't think it could be after all of this, but our expectations now are so high.
Yeah, it's been awesome. This was an absolutely great game. Once again, also Beyond right now showing a lot of heart and character in this series. Losing 3 games back to back to back, and then just bouncing back like this in game number 6. I think that's very impressive. It really shows these guys are mentally very strong.
That is true. Beyond is asking for a 10-minute break, and I certainly don't blame him, considering the amount of stress that he's going to be under right now. So we're going to give these guys a 10-minute break, and it will be our final map of the day, and hopefully it will be worth waiting for. It's currently 3 games to 3. One of these guys is going to go on to face Solar in the grand final, and one will fall down to face Bomber in the bronze match, and these are both going to be best of 7s that are happening tomorrow. This series has been amazing. We have 1 map left today. Unfortunately, we're going to have to make you wait for it, but the player's comfort comes first. We'll be back after a message from our sponsors and some great music. Don't go anywhere. Hi, my name's John Bain, and it's my pleasure to thank Sandisk for bringing us top-notch Starcraft 2 entertainment at the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational. When I'm not casting Starcraft 2, it's my job to critique PC games, and to do that, I need the best hardware. One of the best upgrades that you can get for your PC gaming experience is a solid-state drive, so I'd like to encourage you to check out the Sandisk Extreme Pro SSD. It's engineered for super-fast read and write speeds and consistent high performance 24/7. What does that mean for your games? Faster load times, faster boot times, faster install times. Less downtime, more game time. Plus, they're easy to install, run cool, and are both virtually silent and energy efficient. If you're worried about reliability, no need. Sandisk backs it all up with a 10-year warranty. Game without limits when you step up to the consistent high performance of Sandisk Extreme Pro. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is it, the final map of an epic TVT series. Who's going through to face Solar, and who will go to face Bomber in the bronze match tomorrow? It will all be determined on Orbital Shipyard.
Prediction time, boys. Prediction time.
Epic!
Oh, legendary! That's what this is going to be, no doubt about it.
All right. I gotta go with my boy Bjorn. I'm siding with my boy Bjorn here.
I'm gonna give it a TY, I think. I think the veterancy will shine through in this clutch situation here.
Well, I think TY, but I kind of hope Beyond, because it would just be such a cool comeback story for him and really make his mark immediately on Legacy of the Void if he makes it to the final here and potentially go all the way. But of course, Solar probably has something to say about that.
Solar is very, very good. They have fought multiple times, incidentally, I believe, during the Legacy of the Void beta. So it will be very interesting to see who would come out on top of that in the live game. But we need to figure out who's it going to be. Will it be Bjorn? He is in the northeast position playing for X Team. He is in the red trunks playing Terran. Or will it be KT Rolster's very own TY? He is in the blue trunks playing Terran to the southwest.
Orbital, the map obviously where Bjorn made an almost bomber-ish like mistake, even though his entire army wasn't caught up in medevacs, you know, it was all trapped and everything did die for not a whole lot. But other than that, it was a pretty even game, so I'm not expecting anything too wild over here. I think it's just going to be Really, the detail is going to be in small things, you know. It's going to be very hard for either player to truly set themselves apart because they've been so evenly matched throughout 6 games right now.
Incidentally, sorry, go ahead.
I think it really is going to come down to just like what they've learned from using different things. Like I feel like the Liberators were like a really nice touch to the last game. It was the first map we really got to see them used effectively on, and I'm personally that's what I want to see is just the full scale because we started with the tanks. Okay, the tank drop, okay, whatever, that was good. Then we got a little bit of the trickiness with the mid-game and Cyclone play, and I like that as well. Now I want to see all of it together again, and I want to see the Liberators use a bit more, because I do feel like they're a huge tool that, since neither of these guys have focused that much on air control, I think they're a really phenomenal asset for taking this game.
I'd love to see that. That would be absolutely great. Interesting little factoid, by the way. Solar is considered by Aligalac to be Beyond's top nemesis, as it stands. They have played, I believe, 20 matches in recent memory, and Solar currently has a 7-map lead on Beyond, so it would be very interesting to see if that became the final.
Well, he's probably hoping for it then. It's always nice to face somebody in the final that you've been beating consistently, even though at the same time it's a little bit scary if you're a pro player, because you know the day that you won't beat him is coming closer as well. And you don't want that to be the case in a $10,000 grand final. You'd rather have that in a $100 tournament, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's been happening a lot in a Lima League for $100. What happens when it's 10,000 on the line for first place? That maybe things change a little bit. We will see. All right, a little bit of a misstep there with the musical chairs here. The barracks going in the wrong place. Beyond now switching over for what may very well look to be a Banshee, and that's exactly what it is. And big pressure coming out of Beyond initially.
Yep, all the Marines were on the south side, you know, perhaps trying to catch one of these Reapers like he did earlier today. One Reaper will actually not get picked off yet. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was a great little poke there.
It's funny that you mentioned that because this was the map where the Reapers jumped like literally right into the Marines. And
yes.
I like seeing this pressure come back. This is the similar opening to what Beyond actually did at the beginning of the day. With the first 2 maps where we were starting to talk about, wow, Beyond is playing so well. Now he's gone back to his bread and butter. And he's getting a little bit of work done here.
Yep, that he is. Throwing those grenades down, doing a little bit of damage, zoning out quite nicely, keeping all of his units alive for the time being, although that's going to be a very dicey thing indeed with that Hellion on so low HP. So the Banshee is already out here for Beyond. Cloak is about done. There is a Cyclone on the way. There's 2 missile turrets coming up, though. I mean, TY is looking
mesmerized by this little dance between the Reapers, the grenades, and the Marines.
This is like every game on ladder now, man. You open Marines, the guys got Reapers and Hellions, and it's just trying to get out whatever unit stops that before they kill all your Marines and, well, just bop you, you know? It's really tricky, and it's high paced, it's action.
John did make a very good point, though. The missile turret is up already, and there is a Cyclone, there is a Viking, the second missile turret is going up in a natural. It's going to be very hard for Beyond to find a whole lot to work with over here in the main base of TY.
Yep, and the scan goes out here, and the Cyclone lock is on, but it should not kill that Banshee on the way out. Down goes yet another grenade. A bit of poking. But there's going to be a second Banshee, and then there's going to be a Raven backup here. It'd be nice to see Bjorn maybe be able to repair this Banshee in some way, but Cyclone with a nice quick pick off there for TY. And he's going to try and take out the Reaper as well. There's the scan. The Viking picks it off, and TY with a cleanup here.
Yeah, there's another Banshee waiting, just sharking around, but there's
plenty of energy.
Pretty tight.
Yeah, but there's plenty of energy as well in that orbital and the natural of TY. So far, just excellent defense, and he has created a 12 worker lead for himself. That's one of the biggest worker leads we've seen after the early game skirmishes. Most of the time, it comes out pretty even. The only thing that Beyond does have is a slightly quicker third command center, so he will be able to catch up in workers like that, but this is not a great start for Beyond this time at all.
No, it's not. The aggression didn't seem to really accomplish all that much, and it's resulted in an economic lead for TY, which is never what you want. You know, TY has taken full advantage of that over the course of the last few games.
Curious to see how many engineering bays we're going to see out of TY this game.
I was hoping for the 4 eBay build.
Yeah, sure.
I've actually seen Tasia. Tasia has done that before. He like opened double eBay, like got harassed by Banshee, started an eBay, and then he started +1 on his single eBay, and he built another eBay next to it to start his other +1.
That's great. I mean, you get Neo Steel Frame building armor and +1/+1 at the same time. It's a fantastic use of gas, and it's not like Terran needs gas.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it also allows you to just very quickly also get high-sec auto-tracking as a follow-up,
That is true,
too.
yeah. Very important. I still think that upgrade is really underrated. I love it.
I think all those upgrades, except for Neo Steel, are pretty underrated.
Yeah, Neo Steel is awful. Like, universally awful.
There's just so few situations where Neo Steel would be useful that aren't, like... Maybe if you could get it in the very beginning of the game to, like, hold an all-in, but even then, you'd still rather have an extra unit to help
Yeah, the
defend
amount you
the
have to...
all-in.
What's the point in having a Neo Steel Frame bunker if you can't fill it?
Hey man, I think those bunkers look great. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
They look cool. I say, Blizzard, just get rid of the Neo Steel Frame upgrade and make that a bunker skin. Boom! Actually,
dude,
I would
make
pick
it
that.
make it a bunker upgrade, Nate. An individual bunker upgrade, like Overlord drop.
That is actually...
That's a good idea, yeah.
I'm gonna write to David Kim about that as soon as this match is over. That's actually a phenomenal idea.
TY actually...
No one will
opened fire
ever
on one of
research
his
that upgrade anyway.
Own Marines,
No,
for whatever reason.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. Alright, yeah.
So TY has this Raven and Cyclone, which is running around picking units off every now and again.
And one Banshee does finally find a little bit of room to work with, especially now that the Viking and the Raven are super far out of position. Almost gets a mule. Come on, make up your... Oh man, he shot
kill
it
the mule.
like... Yeah.
There we
Just do it!
Man,
Delay
this
is
is by
building the
far
armor
and
in there
away the
too.
most successful Banshee in the game.
Yes. Yeah, this is doing way, way, way better. It's probably going to die now, but we would like to force the cancel in the armory. That's not going to happen, though. Nice pickup there.
Well, that's really nice. That evens things up economically. That does still mean, of course, that TY has been mining more throughout the entirety of this game because he had an 8-9 worker lead advantage. The only thing beyond that is slightly quicker access to mules. So it's still, you know, it's still a good scenario for TY. We can see that in the supply department, 140 against 118, but we've also seen TY get a little overeager, get a little carried away with some of his aggression. And if that happens again, then Bjorn is absolutely still 100% in this one.
Yeah, right now, I mean, it's about trying to get this positioning. That Raven with the scan is like, nope, not going to be able to drop any auto turrets in there. Trying to see where the big advantage for either side is. I mean, TY starts as +2 earlier. You know how I'm always going to be the guy that hammers in. Those upgrades are so important. The +1 vehicle weapons, though, for both sides is also really big. Neither of these guys have gotten vehicle armor, so you really do want to have that because it also costs beyond a game as well before earlier.
Raven or Res in the left bottom side.
Couple auto turrets going down here and killing a reasonable number of workers. They get 4. Not too bad. Raven gets out.
This Raven seems super trapped right now, though.
I think if it just flew, it would have to like move now because the Viking's going to kill it now. But it could have flown along the bottom of the map and got out. But I think it's dead now.
Drop a PDD and run for it.
Get some more
that
workers.
was 2.
1, 2, 3, possibly 4 workers here.
He tried to kill the Viking. That would have been sick.
Yeah, that would have been a bit gutsy, but that wasn't going to happen. In the meantime, TY continues to posture just to try and threaten Beyond. Beyond is actually floating quite a lot of money at the moment. Just to get his production up.
Uncharacteristic. But it's alright. He's going to be able to spend it.
Yeah, he's adding another... Hang on a minute. Is that a second factory? Yeah, so Beyond was like he will go for double tank production, which has
More
been
tanks.
TY's trademark over the last few games.
Yep, he's pretty much been working with less tanks in the entirety of this series, and sometimes he got away with it. But in the last few games, especially when TY is playing as rock solid as he actually is right now, it's going to get very, very difficult if you're always outnumbered. And let's not forget about tank upgrades. I really wonder if Beyond is actually going to focus on those this game.
Well, the upgrades right now are about as even as they get. TY is only slightly behind in terms of Terran infantry armor, but vehicle upgrades are going to be equal. But as you said, Beyond really hasn't gone past +1 upgrade on his vehicles, I think, ever during this series.
Nope.
And TY has been on top of that, and it's really been giving them the edge.
This is also that phase in the game where I think dropping becomes so difficult. Like, if you want to go for a drop, it has to be a very serious drop, and there has to be something else going on. We just saw Beyond try to fly in, 8 Marines with a single medevac, but that's just useless. It's not going to do anything. When there is no other action going on right now, 8 Marines will probably never make the difference. So you really got to think about those moments as well, because 60 Marines can change the entire battle.
Oh, wow. TY getting a little bit aggressive here, trying to find
really
a position on this
pushing in.
ramp. Yeah, he's going for it at the moment, and he has a lot of tanks in good position, whereas Beyonds are actually airborne at the moment and not getting anything done.
And the Marines are a little bit too far as well. He is dropping, though, in the back of the natural.
That gets cleaned up quickly by TY.
Yeah.
TY actually doesn't have much of an army here. I think if Beyond had realized that, he could have maybe broken this, but as it stands, this siege is proving to be extremely annoying.
It's still really tough to push into a concave like this because
True
the
enough.
tanks will fire from all sides for Beyond, and he's still building a lot of forces. So I can't say that it's all said and done just yet. But
A couple of Marines on the left side are going to be able to do some work over here, I think. If they would have stimped, well, they're waiting. Okay.
Yeah, looks like... Oh, wow. TY maybe didn't want to put it there, but loses a tank, drops it in the wrong position. TY's maybe thinking about backing off here, but some damage being done here by Beyond, but quickly cleaned up by TY. So the current state of the game... I mean, right now, TY certainly has the lead in terms of army.
These are always scary moments, because at the same time you want to keep a few units at home if you're TY right now, in case you get dropped. But on the other end, you don't want to lose this army on the north side of the map as well. So.
Yeah, it's really dicey. This new medevac tank kind of thing just makes this all the more cutthroat. Maneuvering and space control is still very important, but the speed at which you can reposition is much higher than it used to be. And as a result, it only takes a slight delay for your army to get smashed.
Bjorn has like more Marines right now to work with. He's again not getting +2, by the way. He throws down a scan and he's realizing like, alright, you know, that planetary fortress, surprisingly, it's still there since I didn't kill it. He's on 3 bases, his opponent is on 4. TY probably should realize it by now. It's like, alright, you know, the ball's kind of in your corner. I'm happy with what I achieved with my little contain. I kept you on 3 bases. I know the armies are going to be massive on either side.
TY intercepting the orbital command, and there's nothing there to stop it. That orbital is going down. What a move here by TY.
Alright,
yeah, getting some positioning here.
If I'm Beyond right now, I grab everything I have and I crush this army. I try to absolutely demolish it and then try to counterattack, because you need to get something out of that. You just lost your orbital.
Yeah, TY's getting ready to sandwich him too. He's got an army coming in from the east side with a lot of siege tanks. If he leaves that ramp exposed, like if he drops those tanks by that main ramp to the 3rd base, like this could be disastrous.
Tanks deployed, good shots so far onto Beyond's tanks. TY backing off a little bit as the Marines try to chase down after that. 3-3 is not done yet for Beyond, and we have a slight upgrade advantage here for TY.
Nate, don't you think he should have just jumped on that army in the left top side when you realize that there are still so many forces?
I think he could have gotten away with it, but you know, it really seems like he's a bit panicky. He's being a bit nervous here, because honestly, there's no way he's gonna win this game just turtling it out like this. Like, I don't see how he's supposed to be able to bring it back. TY is gonna have his 3-3 upgrades before Beyond does, so he needs to make a move soon.
Yep, and also he already has +2 vehicle weapons again.
He's doing this.
Starting to grow quite a bit of a bank.
Look at the tank disparity. It's 18-8.
Yeah, so I would have just loved to see Beyond just drop like 24 Marines on the low ground and just absolutely murder that army. Yeah, you're gonna lose a bunch of Marines, but you will crush everything, and then you will be able to retake your 4th base a little bit quicker as well. He's gonna try to take his 4th base right now on the right side.
There's already units there for TY waiting for that. Beyond doesn't seem to know what to do right now. He's
gonna get another base sniped is what he's gonna do.
Oh yeah, that would be awful if that would have happened.
Oh my
That's
God.
gonna get scouted by TY, and TY's gonna move for it immediately. Beyond is completely out of position!
Oh!
Again!
Oh no, that is a huge move.
He's gonna suicide into the tank line!
Oh! Beyond is stimmed right on top of it. He's landing his tanks nearby. Does he have enough to crush this? It's so close. Beyond is gonna be able to break this, but at what cost, one has to wonder.
Yeah, look at the minimap right now.
TY's coming for him.
From every angle. He's getting surrounded. Look at the minimap. It's beautiful. There's blue coming from every angle. And I think that if he cleans it up once, TY pretty much has his game on lockdown.
Yeah, Beyond needs to get the hell out of there. He realizes that he needs to move immediately. If he gets trapped, that is gonna be it for him. They both have huge armies right now, but one guy is mining a lot and one is not. Beyond tries to push in to do some damage to this planetary fortress, but look at the flying armada here from TY.
Yeah, the good thing for Beyond is though that there are still a lot of tanks on the left top side of the map that are not
they're
doing
stuck.
a whole lot.
They have no medevac support. Yeah, interestingly enough, he's actually setting them up here with missile turrets, knowing he can't get them out. He's saying, right, well, I just want to make sure you can't drop on them, and then maybe I'll get the opportunity to move them out later. But yeah, Bjorn is sort of, you'd say stuck in the middle, but he's kind of parted that sea, and here he goes. Bjorn is stimming forward once again.
These attacks are so reckless. Like, TY is pumping out 3 tanks at a time. Like, this army is just eventually going to become uncrackable. He actually has a rally problem. 3 tanks are stuck inside of his main base that have not been able to actually leave. That's a pretty big mistake.
Wow, so basically right now there are 9 tanks on the map that won't fight if these 2 armies clash near the 4th base of TY. That's massive, man. 9 tanks? Are you kidding me?
Bjorn setting up with a flank, takes out 3 tanks, loses 1 and a few Marines in trade right now. It's now 14 tanks to 10. Bear in mind, of course, the upgrade lead clearly in favor of TY.
I really think that Bjorn can kill this 4th base right now. I don't think he has to go here. I mean, maybe it's an option, but I think killing the planetary would be absolutely massive.
I mean, killing the planetary is still going to be pretty tricky because he has to move his tanks over there as well. So it's going to allow TY to advance up because the other thing you have to keep in mind as the pause comes in is, like, TY actually got building armor, which is really smart when you're playing bio versus bio because the Marines have a really hard time killing those planetary fortresses because they're essentially ultras at that point with 1,500 hit points and repair. So you need to have the tanks there to break PFs now.
The first orbital that Bjorn lost was the orbital of his main? Did he send to the left upside?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, he did. That was his main orbital that got blown up. I mean, more to the point, at least he actually used that orbital. The first few games we saw that Bjorn really wasn't doing that. But, I mean, if I go back into the game for a second, we look at the situation that Bjorn is currently in. He's got a ton of SCVs just sitting around at that natural because that natural is now mined out. His main is mined out, and his 3rd is almost mined out. Basically, Bjorn has no bases, and TY has taken that expansion point. Like, the 4th base, the potential 4th base of Bjorn, is covered in tanks and missile turrets. Like, there's no way that Bjorn can take it.
No, so I really think you just shouldn't touch it. I would say just let it go. You know, there are plenty of SCVs there. There are 4-6 tanks that won't participate in a fight. I think sniping this planetary at 9 o'clock is the most important thing right now for Bjorn. And I don't think that TY wants to lose that planetary because he knows defending that base right next to the main of Bjorn is going to be very awkward. So I really think that if Bjorn unsieges or picks up his tank and goes for the planetary, then TY is going to try to defend it. And I think on that point, Bjorn is going to fight with way more units. He's going to fight with pretty much the full 134 army supply. While TY, I think he's going to fight with like 115 or something.
Yeah, like there's a clear opportunity here for Bjorn if he realizes it. If he actually figures it out, if he can swing around, crush that planetary, then swing around and crush the remains of TY's army up to the top, not only does he secure his potential 4th, but he cements his army supply lead, and there's no way that TY can really get up there in time unless, as soon as it unpauses, he immediately picks up and goes for it. Because right now, of course, Bjorn is on siege.
The thing is, there's not really that much resources in the bank for either of these players. So if he can take out those bases of TY before he gathers many more resources from them, then getting those tanks, if he clears those out in the top without losing all of his, the battle becomes very even between the 2 of them, assuming he doesn't lose all of his Marines breaking that tank line. But I completely agree. He has to shut down one of these bases or he's just going to run out of steam once he takes one more trade because all their bases are basically mined out right now.
What is worth mentioning, by the way, is that TY does have a couple of additional orbitals sitting near his 3rd base. So if he loses one, he can still float it over. Like he's basically on 5, I believe. He has 5 orbitals, and he's building a 6th one, or maybe that's going to be a planetary. So it's 5 orbitals against 2. That does make things a little bit tricky for Bjorn, but there is still opportunity. I mean, we've seen so many comebacks already in this sick best of 7. So I really think this game is far from over. But it's gonna have to start with sniping that planetary, I think.
I don't think it's going to be easy either way. I still really like this position for TY.
Yeah, but even if he fights without 10 tanks, Nate, like 6 tanks in the top, 4 tanks stuck in his main base, like minus 10 tanks, that's insane.
Yep, Bjorn is basically saying that he's having hand problems at the moment. Which is unfortunate, but yeah, this is the final game. He's just going to make it through this.
The last thing you want in a series like this is for your hands to betray you.
Yeah, man. He's going full Maru here. His hands.
You can't let your hands betray you.
It's like at 2 hands, you know.
I wish I knew what they were saying.
Yeah, we're getting very slow translation here, but
Korean just looks cool. I wish I could read Korean, period.
indeed.
It's actually really easy to learn.
Alright, mister, I speak one language.
No, the Korean alphabet is like really easy.
I know. I know it's easier than Chinese, but I don't think it's that easy.
Well, I'm not saying like being able to actually read it, like that's difficult, but the like pronouncing it is like it's all Korean is actually probably one of the it takes like a day or two actually to like learn how to say all the letters. It's smaller than the English alphabet.
Yeah, well.
You're saying it's never too late to learn Korean, Kev. One day I'll get off my lazy ass and do it too.
I think you have to learn Dutch first, no?
I don't know.
I heard you're on the right track, so it's all good, mate.
Alright, well, hopefully his hands unbetray him soon. It's gonna be tough, man. Playing this game, like everything's going so fast. That's what happened, man. He's playing too high APM. His hands are
So they're ready to go.
All right.
Let's
do it.
Okay, what
Come
the
on,
hell is
Bjorn.
going to happen now? Okay, Bjorn is rocking and rolling. Does he swing for that base immediately? So far, no.
I really think going for the planetary is by far and away the best move.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right there. You know, you crush the only income that TY has, and then you're able to quickly back off. Oh, no. Bjorn is airborne right now, and TY
What?
stims forward. Couple of tanks lost here.
Oh, that was a bit of a YOLO move there.
It's currently 8 tanks to 18 in favor of TY. Bjorn's going to do something right now.
Don't go. Why does he want to go up that ramp so badly? I don't understand.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, he really should. And he's trying it again. He's going for the ramp. But can he break this? There's so many tanks. He shouldn't be able to do this. Bjorn's going for it anyway, though. He's got the Marines in there. He just does not quite have enough. Look at the number of tanks that are at the top of that ramp. Bjorn just threw away a huge army.
He
Why
finally
is he not-
fixed his.
He's
So
got
he
it.
finally fixed the
tough.
problem as well in his main. So now he has those 4 or 5 extra tanks actually participating in fights.
Yeah, that's a really big switch up. And I think now he also finished the ninja base in the top. So I think TY's economy is cemented and Bjorn's broke as a joke.
Bjorn's got to kill this planetary. He should have killed this planetary minutes ago. But he
Like,
keeps
yeah.
trying to attack the
Yeah.
main, which is clearly
It's
not
re-
going to happen.
It's bizarre to me that you can attack an exposed base that's actually mining, but you go for the natural instead where the entire army is, and you have to run up a ramp. I really don't get it.
I don't really understand what the plan is here, because Bjorn is now bleeding out army badly, and I mean, he's long-distance mining right
I
now.
love how
but-
TY sent his SCVs
Oh,
on the
God.
right side of the center of the map, so
Yeah,
he can
he's actually
actually
mining.
fully saturating this base outside of Bjorn's.
I don't understand it. Like, Bjorn now seems to have this blind spot to TY's planetary, and he's just refusing to attack it.
I mean, he will finally be able to mine from his orbital, but once again, he only has 2 orbitals, so he's gonna saturate one base, he's gonna drop 2 mules at a time. You know, it's nice to have some income, but TY, he's gonna rain down 5 mules at a time at his bases. So there's just no way that Bjorn can keep this up. I
Look
really
at the
felt
number
like
of tanks airborne for TY. I mean, it's double what Bjorn has here. It would take a very bad engagement from TY to actually lose this army.
I mean, more than just one. I think he needs to take multiple bad engagements. I really think that last fight was a horrible idea for Bjorn. Running up that ramp when the
I just don't
entire
get it.
army is sitting there. A couple tanks were on siege, sure, but I really think there was a better moment. But I guess it's also very hard. It's been a very long series for them, and it's game 7, and he paused, so he's obviously not feeling, you know, in his peak condition. Maybe he will look at this replay later and be like, all right, I shouldn't have made that attack.
Yeah, TY, I think if he comes in and shuts down this base, it's the last command center for him, that side of that third base where there's no money. I think he kills this, it's all ogre.
It's entirely possible, but Bjorn is actually trying to get around the side of this army at the moment. But really, there's not much of an army to get around the side of. Most of TY stuff is already backing off at this point. And now we've got, oh dear, we've got an orbital going down here. TY attacks from both sides, drives those orbitals away. Bjorn is now all in.
Yep, he can actually kill both orbitals over here with Marines. I have no idea how those Marines
No more,
got to the left
no
top
more
side of the
command
map.
centers on the map for Bjorn. He's just going to be revealed and eventually starved out and killed.
Yep, and I don't think Bjorn has the units to really be able to crack it. I don't know what the obsession with this main and natural is, but Bjorn is repeatedly losing units in it. It's a death trap for him at the moment, and TY continues to mine, whereas Bjorn does not.
And this spot again, he's been in this spot before, and that's just not a good little corner for Bjorn.
No, that was the death zone earlier.
And this, I think, is going to be the death zone. Bjorn goes in for a final push, but there are far too many tanks. GG, ladies and gentlemen. TY will be your finalist to go up against Solar, and Bjorn will be facing the one and only Bomber in the bronze match tomorrow.
Absolutely phenomenal series, though. Like, I really enjoyed it. I think every single game was worth watching. I don't think there was a single game here where we said, man, you know, let's just get it out of the way. I think every game was worth watching. Really fun. It's a tiny bit of a shame in that final game. I really think Bjorn could have utilized the mobility more, because TY was always the Terran with more tanks, right? He always has 4, 5, 6 tanks more. So Bjorn is the Terran that always had 25 to 30 Marines more, and I would love to see him use that mobility a little bit more. But you know, that is a minor thing in an overall absolutely phenomenal series. I really enjoyed it.
Yep, couldn't agree more with that. That was an excellent series.
That is like one of those things you look at it and you're like, this is what I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of in Legacy of the Void.
Well, there you go. Now we have our final bracket, folks. Tomorrow, we'll be kicking off with Bomber versus Bjorn in a TBT, which will hopefully be a lot of fun. And then the grand final, Solar versus TY. There is a huge amount of money on the line for these guys. No real doubt there. They're both going to want to try and play their absolute best for this. There is a big difference between the first and second place prize, and indeed the first place prize is $10,000.
That's a whole lot of money for an online tournament. That's not something we give away every single week, to say the least.
Nope, you absolutely do not. Second place walks away with $5,000, which is still pretty good, but 10 grand for first place, that's worth fighting for. And even the difference between third and fourth place, $2,300 for third and $1,100 for fourth place. So there's still plenty to play for tomorrow.
What a massive tournament this is then, by the way, for TY, because obviously we know that TY is a pro league monster and he's been around the world and he's very good, but he's not a guy that goes to a whole lot of tournaments or has a whole lot of deep finishes. Like, I know he was at IEM Shenzhen, but he didn't make it to the final. Maybe semifinals it was. So this is probably one of the biggest paydays out of his career already, you know, even if he wins 5,000. So that's really cool for such a cool Terran player.
Yeah, this is going to be that tournament that's going to like draw some eyes, you know, to the people that are looking to see. And honestly, I'm hoping that Bjorn can get himself into you know, a bit of a rhythm here with the performances, and I would like to see him, you know, step it up for Legacy of the Void. Maybe you know, get on to you know, one of those more prominent teams and show that skill, because he really had a lot of promise in this tournament so far.
Yep, couldn't agree more with that. No real doubt. Now, tomorrow, what's going to be happening? 8 a.m. Eastern is when we'll be starting once again, and we'll be kicking off with Bomber versus Bjorn and then Solar versus TY. Again, both best of 7 series to finish off the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational II. However, there is, of course, yet more bonus prize money available in the Sandisk Extreme Pro Community Bonus Pool. $1,000 will be distributed today to the people that you think deserve it the most. The poll is now up. I have posted it in the chat, or alternatively, you can head on over to Team Liquid, head over to Tournaments, and select Sandisk Invitational Day 2, and you'll find the poll. TY, Bjorn, Bomber, and Solar are the people you can vote for, and the money will be distributed based on the ratio of your votes. We'll unveil who got the bonus prize money tomorrow morning before the grand finals. Big thanks, of course, to everybody for watching today. We'll be kicking off an immediate rebroadcast after this tournament ends, so you'll be able to catch everything you missed, and VODs for day 1 are still in the process of being encoded and edited, but they'll be going up on youtube.com/TotalBiscuit. Of course, if you're a subscriber to the TotalBiscuit Twitch channel, you have access to the full VODs now immediately whenever you would like to watch them.
I think I should watch a rebroadcast, right, guys?
Just do it.
You should. So very good, especially the games that you missed at the start. They were pretty fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm terribly sorry. I had 6 alarms, but just yesterday I couldn't fall asleep. I tried to sleep from 10, but I don't think I fell asleep until like 12:30 or maybe 1. And then if your alarm goes at 4, then it's just like you're a zombie, you know? Like, it's just like your brain doesn't actually do what you would normally do.
Just how lazy is this man? We will find out tomorrow here on the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational 2.
I'll be here. 7 alarms, 8 alarms. I don't know what I have
Roddy,
to do.
please, I'll call you. I'll call you at 4:45.
Yes,
Easy.
Where
Call
was the
them,
love
baby.
line?
I
There's a
died.
reason why.
Hey, man, I messaged you on like 3 different platforms, and I texted you.
You know, you should
tried.
have used you should have used that special walkie-talkie, Nick.
I'm sorry.
All right, folks, that about wraps us up here for the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational 2. Day 2, the grand finals will be tomorrow starting at 8 Eastern. That is 8 a.m. Eastern. So just remember to turn up for that. We're going to be kicking off a rebroadcast pretty much right now. If you missed anything from today, you'll be able to watch it once again. Thank you to Nathanius and Rotterdam for co-casting today, and big thanks to our sponsor, SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD. If you're looking for an SSD, go and check out tinyurl.com/SandiskShoutCraft to get access to the SSDs that I use on a daily basis, and they are great, that I can guarantee. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and we will see you tomorrow.